perspective. Chance now for Newcastle at this set piece.
Opportunity then to get the ball in from the set piece. What can they do from here? It's Hall. Looks like he goes for a shot, deflected, saved by Elborg, who obviously didn't realise that the ball was a yard wide of the post.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be too sure, and he doesn't want to take any chances. He's almost wrong-footed, but gets across really quickly there. The Swedish goalkeeper. Could be an important save from his perspective, of course. Just looking at this record again, as I was mentioning, Sunderland won 7 last 8 of this fixture, no defeats, and it looks set to continue.
Corner comes in for Newcastle then, headed away by Rigg. Didn't be collected by Livramento. There's 2 minutes left of the 7 that were given, but like I said, I think we can expect to play 3 or 4 more. Headed away by Alderete. Joe Linton plays it against the face of Mayenda, who barely flinches. He's going to try and beat Livramento. I think he had Livramento beaten for pace, but Joe Linton recovered for his teammate. Someone having to hold on now. Not long left at all. Probably about 3 or 4 minutes. Ramsdale, one ball forward. Dan Burn now playing as a striker. Can't win that header though. Up against Hume. Now Livramento on the right hand side. He's going to swing a ball in. It's poor though, but it might find its way to Visser. It does, but then away by Alderete. Hall will pick the ball up. He's under pressure from Chris Rigg. Really good work from him to keep the pressure on for the Black Cats. Ball forward to Livramento. 1 minute left of the 7 that have been given. Again, he may play a couple of minutes more. Joe Linton with the ball inside the Sunderland half. Poor touch from Ramsey gives Rigg a chance. That'll be a foul on Ramsey. Now Willock, what can he do? He tries to loft the ball in towards Dan Burn. Can't quite find his man. Lafay's going to let it run for a goal kick, and that's what it'll be.
Yeah, Lafay celebrates it as well. Knows that it's a big moment again for Sunderland. Under a little bit of pressure. It's not the worst point to the box, to be fair, from that right hand side. A little bit deeper than you'd imagine towards the edge. And it almost finds you on Visser, who takes a heavy touch. Can't really materialise anything concrete from it. You can say that for most of this second half from Newcastle. Really disappointing performance, given the fact they were very much on top in the first half. You said it as well, Kieran. They needed to score more. They needed to create a 2-goal, maybe in a 3-goal cushion in that first half. They didn't manage to do it, and when you don't take your chances in a game like this, you are just opening yourself up. And Sunderland, to their credit, came out really well in the second half. I have to say they probably deserve the 3 points based on the second half performance.
Yeah, Ramsey under pressure then from Lafay. That'll be a foul from the Frenchman. We have now played the 7 minutes that were given. Again, I'd be very surprised if we're not going to see a bit more though. It's going to be a long ball into the box from Ramsdale. Just go deep. Burn is up for it. Flicks it on. It's in the box. What's going to happen? Gertruda makes a great challenge up against Willock. Ball on the edge of the area, given away by Newcastle. Now Lafay plays it over to Mayenda, who's 1v1 with Tino Livramento. Visser, of all people, striding back and gets his foot in. Johan Visser, brilliant work from him to get back, get a foot in. Now played 98 minutes of football. Only 7 minutes were given. That's surely a foul by Ronaldo. It's going to be another yellow card as well for Sunderland. That'll be a 6th or 7th, I believe.
Yeah, counting up the bookings, aren't they, in this game, Sunderland, especially in this second half. Ronaldo, one of the substitutes, of course, and he's now picked up a booking. 4 of the Sunderland back line have all done that now, so they've really got to the races today with those bookings. Ball comes in from Murphy and cleared away eventually by Ronaldo.
Yeah, cleared upfield by Ronaldo. Brian Brobby watching on. Played 1.5 minutes more than the 7 that were given. I had it as 2.5 minutes when play resumed, so we've probably got another minute if Anthony Taylor agrees with me. Goal kick as that throw-in goes in. Newcastle players were protesting. Alderete taking his time with it, which will lead to Ursula to go over and put the ball on the edge of the 6-yard box for Elborg. Celebrations imminent for Sunderland, I'm sure. Regis Labrie telling his team to be compact by the looks of it. Surely not got long left, surely less than a minute. We've played 99 minutes, like I say, I make it another 20 seconds or so should be played. Goal kick taken by Elborg, and the referee blows his whistle, and at the St James's Park. Sunderland have completed the double over their fierce rivals Newcastle United. It's finished. Newcastle United 1, Sunderland 2.
Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent
Park at 12. Aston Villa host West Ham at 2:15. Well, it's a huge match at the bottom between relegation threatened Tottenham and Nottingham Forest. That also starts at 2:15. Big match in Scotland as well, as the title race continues with Celtic going to Dundee United. That's at 12:30. In the Women's Super League, two matches. Brighton host Liverpool at 12 and Leicester face Aston Villa at 2:45. Moving on to tennis. Cameron Norrie is out of the Miami Open, losing in the second round against Alex Mickelson. He lost 7-5, 6-7, 6-4. Yannick Sinner, though, he began his Miami Open campaign with a 6-3, 6-3 win over Damir Zuzmur. Katie Boulter's run at the Miami Open in the women's side of things ended it round 3 as she lost 6-3, 7-5 to Carolina Muchova. In athletics, Josh Kerr has won gold for GB in the men's 3,000 metres at the World Athletics Indoor Championships in Poland. While in golf, Sun Jae Im has taken a two-shot lead into the final round of the Valspar Championship following his third round 69. In darts, Luke Littler is into the last 16 of the Belgian Open after a 6-2 win over Boris Krumchar. While in snooker, Ronnie O'Sullivan will play Tepchaya Unnu in the World Open final after O'Sullivan beat China's Wu Yis in the semi-final. That's O'Sullivan's 66th ranking final. In the NBA, the LA Lakers edged the Orlando Magic 105-104 with Luka Doncic scoring 33 points, while Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 40 points as the Oklahoma City Thunder beat Washington Wizards 132-111. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Latest sports news on Sunday. I'm Aidan Perkins. Looking ahead to the football action. It's a busy day in the Premier League. It's also the Carabao Cup final. That's a 4:30 kickoff between Arsenal and Manchester City. Before that, Newcastle host Sunderland in the Tyne Weir derby at St James's Park at 12. Aston Villa host West Ham at 2:15. Well, it's a huge match at the bottom between relegation threatened Tottenham and Nottingham Forest. That also starts at 2:15. Big match in Scotland as well, as the title race continues with Celtic going to Dundee United. That's at 12:30. In the Women's Super League, two matches. Brighton host Liverpool at 12 and Leicester face Aston Villa at 2:45. Moving on to tennis. Cameron Norrie is out of the Miami Open, losing in the second round against Alex Mickelson. He lost 7-5, 6-7, 6-4. Yannick Sinner, though, he began his Miami Open campaign with a 6-3, 6-3 win over Damir Zuzmur. Katie Boulter's run at the Miami Open in the women's side of things ended it round 3 as she lost 6-3, 7-5 to Carolina Muchova. In athletics, Josh Kerr has won gold for GB in the men's 3,000 metres at the World Athletics Indoor Championships in Poland. While in golf, Sun Jae Im has taken a two-shot lead into the final round of the Valspar Championship following his third round 69. In darts, Luke Littler is into the last 16 of the Belgian Open after a 6-2 win over Boris Krumchar. While in snooker, Ronnie O'Sullivan will play Thepchaiya Unnu in the World Open final after O'Sullivan beat China's Wu Yis in the semi-final. That's O'Sullivan's 66th ranking final. In the NBA, the LA Lakers edged the Orlando Magic 105-104 with Luka Doncic scoring 33 points, while Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 40 points as the Oklahoma City Thunder beat Washington Wizards 132-111. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Latest sports news on Sunday. I'm Aidan Perkins. Looking ahead to the football action. It's a busy day in the Premier League. It's also the Carabao Cup final. That's a 4:30 kick-off between Arsenal and Manchester City. Before that, Newcastle host Sunderland in the Tyne Weir derby at St James's Park at 12. Aston Villa host West Ham at 2:15. Well, it's a huge match at the bottom between relegation threatened Tottenham and Nottingham Forest. That also starts at 2:15. Big match in Scotland as well, as the title race continues with Celtic going to Dundee United. That's at 12:30. In the Women's Super League, two matches. Brighton host Liverpool at 12 and Leicester face Aston Villa at 2:45. Moving on to tennis, Cameron Norrie is out of the Miami Open, losing in the second round against Alex Mickelson. He lost 7-5, 6-7, 6-4. Yannick Sinner, though, he began his Miami Open campaign with a 6-3, 6-3 win over Damir Zuzmur. Katie Boulter's run at the Miami Open in the women's side of things ended it round 3 as she lost 6-3, 7-5 to Karolina Muchova. In athletics, Josh Kerr has won gold for GB in the men's 3,000 metres at the World Athletics Indoor Championships in Poland. While in golf, Sun Jae Im has taken a 2-shot lead into the final round of the Valspar Championship following his third round 69. In darts, Luke Littler is into the last 16 of the Belgian Open after a 6-2 win over Boris Krumchar. While in snooker, Ronnie O'Sullivan will play Thepchaiya Unnu in the World Open final after O'Sullivan beat China's Wu Yis in the semi-final. That's O'Sullivan's 66th ranking final. In the NBA, the LA Lakers edged the Orlando Magic 105-104 with Luka Doncic scoring 33 points, while Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 40 points as the Oklahoma City Thunder beat Washington Wizards 132-111. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Latest sports news on Sunday. I'm Aidan Perkins. Looking ahead to the football action. It's a busy day in the Premier League. It's also the Carabao Cup final. That's a 4:30 kick-off between Arsenal and Manchester City. Before that, Newcastle host Sunderland in the Tyne Weir derby at St James's Park at 12. Aston Villa host West Ham at 2:15. Well, it's a huge match at the bottom between relegation threatened Tottenham and Nottingham Forest. That also starts at 2:15. Big match in Scotland as well, as the title race continues with Celtic going to Dundee United. That's at 12:30. In the Women's Super League, two matches. Brighton host Liverpool at 12 and Leicester face Aston Villa at 2:45. Moving on to tennis, Cameron Norrie is out of the Miami Open, losing in the second round against Alex Mickelson. He lost 7-5, 6-7, 6-4. Yannick Sinner, though, he began his Miami Open campaign with a 6-3, 6-3 win over Damir Zuzmur. Katie Boulter's run at the Miami Open in the women's side of things ended it round 3 as she lost 6-3, 7-5 to Karolina Muchova. In athletics, Josh Kerr has won gold for GB in the men's 3,000 metres at the World Athletics Indoor Championships in Poland. While in golf, Sun Jae Im has taken a 2-shot lead into the final round of the Valspar Championship following his third round 69. In darts, Luke Littler is into the last 16 of the Belgian Open after a 6-2 win over Boris Krumchar. While in snooker, Ronnie O'Sullivan will play Thepchaiya Unnu in the World Open final after O'Sullivan beat China's Wu Yis in the semi-final. That's O'Sullivan's 66th ranking final. In the NBA, the LA Lakers edged the Orlando Magic 105-104 with Luka Doncic scoring 33 points, while Shai Alexander scored 40 points as the Oklahoma City Thunder beat Washington Wizards 132 to 111. It's all for now, we'll have more later. Latest sports news on Sunday. I'm Aidan Perkins. Looking ahead to the football action, it's a busy day in the Premier League. It's also the Carabao Cup final. That's a 4:30 kick-off between Arsenal and Manchester City. Before that, Newcastle host Sunderland in the Tyne Weir derby at St James's Park at 12. Aston Villa host West Ham at 2:15. Well, it's a huge match at the bottom between relegation threatened Tottenham and Nottingham Forest. That also starts at 2:15. Big match in Scotland as well, as the title race continues with Celtic going to Dundee United. That's at 12:30. In the Women's Super League, two matches. Brighton host Liverpool at 12 and Leicester face Aston Villa at 2:45. Moving on to tennis, Cameron Norrie is out of the Miami Open, losing in the second round against Alex Mickelson. He lost 7-5, 6-7, 6-4. Yannick Sinner, though, he began his Miami Open campaign with a 6-3, 6-3 win over Damir Zuzmur. Katie Boulter's run at the Miami Open in the women's side of things ended it round 3 as she lost 6-3, 7-5 to Carolina Muchova. In athletics, Josh Kerr has won gold for GB in the men's 3,000 metres at the World Athletics Indoor Championships in Poland. While in golf, Sun Jae Im has taken a 2-shot lead into the final round of the Valspar Championship following his third round 69. In darts, Luke Littler is into the last 16 of the Belgian Open after a 6-2 win over Boris Krimchar. While in snooker, Ronnie O'Sullivan will play Thepchaiya Unnu in the World Open final after O'Sullivan beat China's Wu Yis in the semi-final. That's O'Sullivan's 66th ranking final. In the NBA, the LA Lakers edged the Orlando Magic 105-104 with Luka Doncic scoring 33 points, while Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 40 points as the Oklahoma City Thunder beat Washington Wizards 132 to 111. It's all for now, we'll have more later. Latest sports news on Sunday. I'm Aidan Perkins. Looking ahead to the football action, it's a busy day in the Premier League. It's also the Carabao Cup final. That's a 4:30 kick-off between Arsenal and Manchester City. Before that, Newcastle host Sunderland in the Tyne Weir derby at St James's Park at 12. Aston Villa host West Ham at 2:15. Well, it's a huge match at the bottom between relegation threatened Tottenham and Nottingham Forest. That also starts at 2:15. Big match in Scotland as well, as the title race continues with Celtic going to Dundee United. That's at 12:30. In the Women's Super League, two matches. Brighton host Liverpool at 12 and Leicester face Aston Villa at 2:45. Moving on to tennis, Cameron Norrie is out of the Miami Open, losing in the second round against Alex Mickelson. He lost 7-5, 6-7, 6-4. Yannick Sinner, though, he began his Miami Open campaign with a 6-3, 6-3 win over Damir Zuzmur. Katie Boulter's run at the Miami Open in the women's side of things ended it round 3 as she lost 6-3, 7-5 to Carolina Muchova. In athletics, Josh Kerr has won gold for GB in the men's 3,000 metres at the World Athletics Indoor Championships in Poland. While in golf, Sun Jae Im has taken a 2-shot lead into the final round of the Valspar Championship following his third round 69. In darts, Luke Littler is into the last 16 of the Belgian Open after a 6-2 win over Boris Krimchar. While in snooker, Ronnie O'Sullivan will play Thepchaiya Unnu in the World Open final after O'Sullivan beat China's Wu Yis in the semi-final. That's O'Sullivan's 66th ranking final. In the NBA, the LA Lakers edged the Orlando Magic 105-104 with Luka Doncic scoring 33 points, while Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 40 points as the Oklahoma City Thunder beat Washington Wizards 132 to 111. It's all for now, we'll have more later. Latest sports news on Sunday. I'm Aidan Perkins. Looking ahead to the football action, it's a busy day in the Premier League. It's also the Carabao Cup final. That's a 4:30 kick-off between Arsenal and Manchester City. Before that, Newcastle host Sunderland in the Tyne Weir derby at St James's Park at 12. Aston Villa host West Ham at 2:15. Well, it's a huge match at the bottom between relegation threatened Tottenham and Nottingham Forest. That also starts at 2:15. Big match in Scotland as well, as the title race continues with Celtic going to Dundee United. That's at 12:30. In the Women's Super League, 2 matches. Brighton host Liverpool at 12 and Leicester face Aston Villa at 2:45. Moving on to tennis, Cameron Norrie is out of the Miami Open, losing in the second round against Alex Mickelson. He lost 7-5, 6-7, 6-4. Yannick Sinner, though, he began his Miami Open campaign with a 6-3, 6-3 win over Damir Zuzmur. Katie Boulter's run at the Miami Open in the women's side of things ended it round 3 as she lost 6-3, 7-5 to Carolina Muchova. In athletics, Josh Kerr has won gold for GB in the men's 3,000 metres at the World Athletics Indoor Championships in Poland. While in golf, Sun Jae Im has taken a 2-shot lead into the final round of the Valspar Championship following his third round 69. In darts, Luke Littler is into the last 16 of the Belgian Open after a 6-2 win over Boris Krimchar. While in snooker, Ronnie O'Sullivan will play Tepchaya Unnu in the World Open final after O'Sullivan beat China's Wu Yis in the semi-final. That's O'Sullivan's 66th ranking final. In the NBA, the LA Lakers edged the Orlando Magic 105-104 with Luka Doncic scoring 33 points, while Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 40 points as the Oklahoma City Thunder beat Washington Wizards 132-111. That's all for now. We'll have more later. Latest sports news on Sunday. I'm Aidan Perkins. Looking ahead to the football action, it's a busy day in the Premier League. Well, it's also the Carabao Cup final. That's a 4:30 kick-off between Arsenal and Manchester City. Before that, Newcastle host
Ross Graham for Dundee United just went into the book, the Dundee United captain, and it's a decent free kick opportunity right on the edge of the D actually, with about 4 Celtic players including Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain stood over this one. Graham, I think, would still take today over his last game when he scored that unfortunate own goal to concede a very last minute equaliser against Dundee, as that ball is drilled straight into the wall from the crowd. It was a poor effort really. It was close and one of those where it's not easy to get up and down.
Got Hermansen in goal. Back 3 of Tadibo, Mavropanos and Disasi. Wing backs of Wan-Bissaka and Juve, with Fernandes and Souček operating as a pivot in midfield. And then we see an attacking trio of Pablo and Bowen either side of Castellanos, who leads the line. Kick-off fast approaching. Kick-off is fast approaching at Villa Park for this massive Premier League clash. It's Champions League chasing Aston Villa against relegation battling West Ham, and for Unai Emery, he names an 11 of Martinez in goal, a back 4 of Cash, Conza, Torres and Digne, midfield 2 of Onana and Barkley, with an attacking trio of McGinn, Rogers and Sancho sat just behind Ollie Watkins, who leads the line. Whereas for Nuno, Espirito, Santos, Travellers, they've got Hermansen in goal, back 3 of Tadibo, Mavropanos and Disasi, wing backs of Wan-Bissaka and Juve, with Fernandes and Souček operating as a pivot in midfield. And then we see an attacking trio of Pablo and Bowen either side of Castellanos, who leads the line. Kick-off fast approaching. Kick-off is fast approaching at Villa Park for this massive Premier League clash. It's Champions League chasing Aston Villa against relegation battling West Ham, and for Unai Emery, he names an 11 of Martinez in goal, a back 4 of Cash, Conza, Torres and Digne, midfield 2 of... And we will leave that just there, because we're about to get underway at Villa Park for this massive Premier League clash. It is Aston Villa hosting West Ham in this one, of course, Champions League hoping Aston Villa battling against a relegation battling side in West Ham. It probably feels
of the 4 really battling to stay up, that West Ham have the form out of all of them. So they might have a sneaky feeling that can cause a bit of an upset here at Villa Park, especially for the fact of Aston Villa's recent form. But they're looking to start pretty quick as Ollie Watkins gets them on the break. He turns onto his right foot, slows things down, and just allows Aston Villa to have their first few touches of possession. Well, I was going to run you through the lineups and say that Todibo was at centre half, and in the little pre-lineup amble before kickoff, I did have Todibo in the lineup. He's dropped out in the warm-ups, and he has dropped out for Freddie Potts, which probably signals a change of formation as well, which means all the plans through the week could have gone out of the window. It's myself, Kieran Graham, alongside Simon Barlow to bring you coverage of this one. And Simon, how influential could that change in the warm-ups be?
Yeah, it really could be. You know, they would have planned all week to play with the back 3. You know, that's obviously what Nuno wanted to do for this game. Yet the plan's out the window with Todibo picking the injury, so they've gone to a back 4. Potts is playing holding midfield. That's his usual position, and we'll see how they get on with that.
Yeah, just see the ball cleared away, and it goes out for an Aston Villa throw. Well, you know, Emery watching on will be desperate for 3 points today. Of course, the pressure is on them from the likes of Liverpool, Chelsea. You could even put Brentford in that mix, but you'd maybe feel more Everton. Also, Brentford pretty underwhelming last night at Ellen Road in probably the worst game of the season in the Premier League. As you see Mavropanos going long up towards Jared Bowen. He looks to bring it down first time, but he can't. Of course, like I mentioned, that game at Ellen Road last night means that Leeds United did drop points. Is that going to be a little bit of a factor for West Ham to really go for it as well, to capitalise on that?
I mean, they would have had more than one eye on that game, of course. You know, they've got to try and drag teams above them back into it, and Leeds are probably one of the teams that they're looking at, but there's another couple playing right now as well. They've just got to keep winning, haven't they? They've got to keep picking up points. Trying to stay positive and trying to stay, you know, in a sort of, you know, just together, really. You know, I think Nuno has got that sort of togetherness about the team now. They can see a way out of this. Going to miss a couple of key players today. Obviously, Todibo maybe not the biggest miss, but there's 1 or 2 others missing. But yeah, I want to speak about Mateus Fernandes as well, and what a finish to the season he's having as well. It's been such a find really for them, and I think he's really emerged since the departure of Lucas Paquetá as well in January. It sort of needed Paquetá to go to create a room in the team for Mateus Fernandes, and he's taken that chance with 2 hands.
Yeah, he's looked fantastic. When I've seen him recently, I've covered quite a little bit of West Ham, but we now see Aston Villa in possession. They've just cruised their way into the Europa League quarter-finals after a 3-0 aggregate victory over French side Lille. And West Ham, just in the start of this season, pretty quick starters usually, with 9 goals in the opening 15 minutes, more than anybody in the whole of the Premier League. As you see, Barkley shifts it towards the right-hand side. And then central for Onana. Only 3 minutes into this one. It's not got going yet, this game. A really slow start. No real chances. I haven't really seen anybody in the final third. That's a poor ball, though, from Matty Cash that just bounces off the knee of Barkley. And then gives possession back towards West Ham. Of course, Somerville's been missing for a couple games now. He's such a big miss for West Ham because he was starting to come into real form, and he was their main goal-scoring threat. You see Potts get his first touches of the ball. He's looking to carry it forwards, and he plays a lovely ball down the left-hand side for Juve, who gets there first time, and he looks to get the better of Matty Cash, and he does get the better of him into the penalty across the face of goal. Well blocked away by Ezri Konsa. Vital defending, but a great move from West Ham.
Yeah, it was. Cash got caught out there. Juve too strong for him in the duel. He wins a lot of duels on that side, and he's going to be a key factor, I think, for West Ham attacking in this game, as will Wan-Bissaka on the opposite side. But I think maybe he could have tried to fizz that cross in 1 touch earlier. You know, by taking that further touch into the box, there was you know, more time for the West Ham defenders, for the Villa defenders to get back in and defend the 6-yard box.
Yeah, well, I can run you through the lineups then. For Aston Villa, they have Martinez in goal. A pretty regular back 4 of Cash, Konsa, Torres and Digne, with Barkley and Onana as a double pivot in midfield. McGinn and Sancho are on the wings, and Rodgers sat just behind Ollie Watkins, who leads the line. Whereas for the visitors, they have Hermansen in goal. Looks like it's going to be the back 4 now of Wan-Bissaka, Mavropanos, Disasi and Juve, with Fernandes, Souček and Potts in midfield, and a front 3 of Pablo and Bowen either side of Castellanos, who leads the line. But it feels like Jared Bowen just pretty free roaming at the moment. Doesn't feel like he's necessarily on a wing so far. He's getting pretty central at times. Disasi looks for a switch of play for Wan-Bissaka. Could be overhit, and it is just overhit, and it goes out of play for a goal kick. Well, Axel Disasi, every time I'd watched him at Chelsea, I thought, how on earth has he found his way of playing in the Premier League? Since joining West Ham, he's really revolutionised that defence. He's been brilliant.
Yeah, I think he's an old school type defender, isn't he? And he gets his head in there, muck and bullet sort of thing. You know what I mean? Where you need that kind of player as well as the sort of more silky players that are going to bring it out of defence and try and instigate attacks. He's not necessarily all about that. He just keeps it simple with the ball, but it's without the ball what he does there, and that's what they've needed.
Yes, you now see Matty Cash forward ball down the right side into the area for Jadon Sancho. He's in good space, and he looks for a ball across the face of goal. Big sliding challenge from Mavropanos, because Ollie Watkins would have had an absolute tap-in at the back post, and Mavropanos is another one as of late has been outstanding. That is vital defending.
Yeah, great instincts there from the defender. Just seeing maybe there wasn't an offside in the run from Sancho to get him behind. He does the right thing as well. He puts a lovely ball across the 6-yard box, and Mavropanos with the instincts to get in the right position and deal with it.
Yeah, it's great defending from the Greek centre-half. Just gets his toe to it, sliding in ahead of Ollie Watkins, puts it behind for a corner. We now see it whipped in towards the near post, and it's evaded. Everybody falls to Sancho, who goes for goal, blocked away by Fernandez this time, and goes for a throw-in for Aston Villa. Well, it's their first real chances of this one. 6.5 minutes it's taken for them to get going, but a couple of half chances so far, and Sancho's going to leave this throw-in for Matty Cash. Probably going to be a short throw-in. The cameras linger on Hermansen because he didn't deal with the corner initially very convincingly, and Matty Cash right in front of those travelling West Ham fans, ready to take this one as the number 2 takes the long run up. Of course, long throwing is so important now in the Premier League, and it's all the way in. Onana wins his header, but it's cleared away by Disasi, only as far as Digne brings it down. He hits it from distance. What a save that is from Mads Hermansen. Well, a great strike from Luca Digne, aiming towards the near post. He got some real venom and thunder on it, and it goes behind for a Villa corner.
Yeah, I mean, long throw in. They do kind of deal with it first ball, but the clearance falls to Dean, and there's no pressure on the ball. Bowen's a little bit slack getting out to him. Great strike from distance. I think he was probably just going wide, or maybe going to clip the outside of the post. Hermansen wasn't sure, had to get a hand to it, and he deals with it. Yeah,
he puts it behind for another Aston Villa corner. They hang it right on the goalkeeper. It's cleared off the line by Mavropanos. The goalkeeper then flaps at it once again, and it's cleared by Jared Bowen. Well, they've obviously worked on that, haven't they, Aston Villa, about piling on the pressure on this goalkeeper from set pieces. Mads Hermansen, he's not the biggest, he's not the most physically commanding either, and that one had just looped over him. I think this may have been going straight in if it wasn't for Mavropanos. It is a vital header from Mavropanos.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they're just bombarding the 6-yard box with bodies and sort of curling balls in. I mean, I suppose all teams do it, but you think West Ham, with the height they've got back there, the presence they've got back there, the keeper's not bad, coming for crosses or, certainly punching. I'm not sure why Villa are doing that, but, West Ham have stood firm for those 2 corners so far.
Yeah, they have, and they've dealt with them thanks to Mavropanos. 8.5 minutes on the clock, 0-0 between these two sides, as we just wait for this throwing to be taken by Aaron Wan-Bissaka going down the channel. Well, it's 3 losses in a row in the Premier League for Unai Emery's side, which, I mean, if you want Champions League, that form can't continue. They have to start to go on a bit of a winning run. The cameras linger on Todibo, who is sat on the bench with his fellow teammates, but of course had to pull out in the warm-up. Was meant to be starting this game, the Frenchman, but did drop out for Freddie Potts. There's 9 minutes on the clock, still 0-0.
We were just a little bit confused about why Max Kilman, who's on the bench, wasn't sort of brought in as a direct replacement for Todibo. Could that be he's not 100% match fit, couldn't get through the 90? So, but it seems strange to change your formation when you have got a player that could slot in there. But I mean, maybe tactically, wanted to change something as well.
Yeah, exactly that. Well, there is another massive game going on right this second for the relegation battle. Tottenham hosting Nottingham Forest. I'm sure one of the West Ham staff members might have one eye on that. Really big game, and we will bring you updates and the scores on the doors as they go in that one, as we now see Souček moves away for Fernandez, puts it through the legs of Matty Cash. That's a naughty challenge again. Well, I thought Matty Cash maybe could have got booked earlier when Juve took it round him and he tried to pull his shirt to stop him. That would have been a yellow card if Juve got stopped. I mean, that's not a great challenge either.
No, I mean, I think he's seen him coming a little bit, and I'm not saying he's exaggerating. No, he gets caught. He gets caught. It's like knee to knee, isn't it? Yeah. So, yeah, it is naughty from Matty Cash.
Yes, Montez Fernandez balling behind, looking for Castellanos, slips as he plays it, but it just evades the right boot of the Argentine. Well, he's added a lot since joining in January, the former Lazio man. He hasn't really scored too many goals. That area of his game can absolutely improve, but has certainly made them a little bit more dangerous in attack. Jared Bowen steps in with the clearance, clears his lines as well, up towards Fernandez, back heel down the line, looking for a teammate, but Castellanos can't get there, but he's pressing Pau Torres, but the Spaniard just plays it round him with ease, as we now see Onana turns away in midfield, looks for a dinked ball in behind. It's a great ball as well, looking for Morgan Rogers on full stretch. His first touch, he just couldn't take it under his spell.
Yeah, his first touch, and I think it might be his first touch of the game, because they've just not got him involved at all, have they, Morgan Rogers? It's been a very quiet opening 10 from him, and they're going to have to get him involved. You know, he's the game breaker. He's sort of played in a out of possession. They're going into a 4-4-2, so he's sort of left side of a 4-4-2 out of possession. He's just actually playing as one of the two up front now because he's had that run forward. But his battle against Wan-Bissaka will be good today. Wan-Bissaka is a great man marker. He's kept better players than Morgan Rogers quiet for 90 minutes, and you know, that's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on.
Yes, now see Potts goes across towards Disasi, who finds Juve. Back to Disasi again. Goes in for Potts, who's in the middle of the park. He's going to have options in behind on the right hand side. He doesn't use it. Back in the middle for Souček. Back to Potts. Once again, West Ham just trying to find their real rhythm and mojo in this one. They've only lost twice since the middle of January, winning 4 and drawing 3. But the thing that will really give West Ham confidence is 3 of those 4 victories are actually on the road. Haven't been able to make the London Stadium a fortress, I would say this season, but ever, really, since moving into the stadium, which was quite a long time ago now, as we now see Barkley goes long into the middle towards Ollie Watkins. He's hacked down, naughty challenge from Freddie Potts, which just breaks up the play just in Aston Villa's half.
Yeah, Watkins came short for the ball, and then Potts snaked a leg out to try and nick it in front of him. I mean, he's coming from behind, trying to nick the ball in front of him. It's always a risky manoeuvre, that, and Watkins too experienced, really, to let him do that, and he gets the free kick.
Yeah, hacks it down, can have no real complaints about that one. A bit of a poor challenge in the end. He's only got the 1 goal in his last 9 appearances. Ollie Watkins just hasn't gone for him, and the urgency that he should get, really, today is the fact he's been dropped from the England squad as well. He's lost his place to the likes of Solanke and Calvert-Lewin. So these next few games ahead of the World Cup are absolutely vital for him.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I think looking at the games that we've had this weekend already, and there's obviously a lot of England players involved today in the matches elsewhere as well. But the players that have been picked for the England squad haven't done much, and it's the players that haven't been picked for England who have, you know, Danny Welbeck with his 2 goals against Liverpool yesterday. So maybe, you know, Ollie Watkins can use that as motivation to have a good game today.
Yeah, Danny Welbeck with the 2 goals against Liverpool. Great ball though over the top for Digne. Looks for a cutback towards Sancho. He tried to dummy it for John McGinn. Running onto it. It's well cleared away though in the end. I think Luca Digne just making the point. Wanted them to fizz across a little bit more. Show a bit more urgency in the movement. And Sancho, it was clever from him. He didn't know that Juve was right on his tail in that sense. As the ball goes out for a throw-in, Digne takes the throw-in shot for Sancho. Now it's across to Morgan Rogers. Sharp turn away from Montez Fernandez, and a free kick that goes the way of Aston Villa in a very dangerous position. It's a crossing position on the left-hand side.
Yeah, just a little bit too quick for him there, wasn't he, Morgan Rogers? Protected the ball, then Fernandez just swung a leg, really, and it's clumsy, that, you know. Praising him for being a good attacking midfielder, but when he comes back and helps out in defence, he's got to be cleaner than that, because you give away free kicks in that position, you're going to get punished.
Yeah, he's aggressive, isn't he? He likes to get stuck in. He probably averages around 3 tackles per 90. That wouldn't shock me at all. He's always flying in to challenges. He'll commit a couple of fouls here and there as well, as we're just awaiting this free kick to be taken. Really dangerous territory, this one. Ollie Watkins lurking at the back post. It's the type of one you just want to fizz across the face of goal, but they haven't. Matty Cash goes short to Sancho, who lays it off for John McGinn, who takes it first time. What a hit that is! What a hit from John McGinn in towards the far corner, who wheels away celebrating. It's one from the training ground. It's a big moment in this one, and Aston Villa take the lead thanks to John McGinn.
Yeah, John McGinn take a bow. Austin McPhee take a bow as well, the Aston Villa set-piece coach, because as you say, that has definitely been worked on all week long. McGinn is free on the edge of the penalty area. There's 2 passes to get there. When the first pass, you know, you think it's obviously going to be across this, and I was totally sold by that. But it was a really well-worked manoeuvre. They passed it to Sancho, Sancho. Sancho played it across the edge of the penalty area. Really careful pass as well. It wasn't too much on it. He got there just in time for McGinn to then wind up his shot and curl it beyond Hermansen. I think he's unsighted, the keeper. There's a lot of bodies between him and the ball when it's shot there, but it's just, again, great execution from Aston Villa from a free kick, a set piece that really is out of the top drawer.
Yeah, what a hit that is. What a hit that is from John McGinn. I wonder if both sets of fans just celebrated in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in that sense, because what a big goal that is for Tottenham, Nottingham Forest and Leeds United in the relegation battle. But what a big goal this is for Aston Villa, who are begging to find a little bit of form at such a crucial part of this season. Of course, 3 points today would put them only a point behind Manchester United, but would put them 5 points clear of Liverpool, which is just as important. Ball into the penalty area for Castellanos, whose header goes wide in the end. There was no free kick given, so a great chance for Castellanos. Conser was claiming he got pushed to the ground, hence why Castellanos won his header, but that was almost an instant mess up at the back.
Yeah, it was given away by Dean, and then just then Bowen gets a decent cross in with his right foot. Obviously, that's not his favourite side, it's his swinger, but he's put it into a fantastic area, and Castellanos between two Villa defenders. There is a little bit of contact there, but I think he would have got away with it. Well, there was definitely no free kick given. He just headed it wide.
Yeah, it's a poor header in the end from him. Maybe leaned on his man a little bit more. That would have been interesting if it did find the back of the net, for how long VAR would take a look at that one, and if they'd have deemed it to be an obvious error. As you now see, Pau Torres looks for a dinked ball in the middle of the pack. John McGinn with a headed flick on towards Ollie Watkins, evades him, and it's well intercepted, but it's going to go out of play for a throw unless Matty Cash can get there, but he can't. He gets a little touch when it's off the field of play. Well, the Aston Villa set-piece coach, who Simon did just mention, is lingering on the screens now, because it definitely was one from the training ground. Usually, like I said before the ticket, usually you see them opt with a little bit of pace and a little bit of power across the face of goal. If it doesn't touch anyone, it could still find the far corner, but of course they went for the short tactic. Here comes Ollie Watkins though on the attack, this time on the right hand side. He clips it towards the back post, completely overhit for Morgan Rogers, but Digne is going to get there. And he lays it off for Barkley, cuts onto his right boot. He's going to hit it from distance. It's blocked away up into the air, headed away by Potts, only as far as Matty Cash though, who brings it down. Matty Cash goes across to Concert. Now it's going to be Torres. 17 and a half minutes on the clock. 1-0 to Aston Villa early doors. Big goal for both sides. As we now see Pau Torres, ball in the channel for Morgan Rogers, who looks to turn away from his man. He plays a nice ball into Ollie Watkins as well, who opens it up, plays it back for Ross Barkley once more. Morgan Rogers gets a bit fortunate, but loses his footing in the challenge with Wan-Bissaka. So here come West Ham on the break. It's all just very slow, and then he got rushed by Wan-Bissaka. He just played a bit of a blind pass down the line for Castellanos, one that he was nowhere near. We now see Matty Cash bombing forwards down the right-hand side. He turns away and finds Onana. Still no goals between Tottenham and Nottingham Forest. Ball over the top, looking towards Matty Cash, who keeps it in play, but he can only put it in the hands of Hermansen. But West Ham, they've got to settle in this one.
Yeah, they've it started well. They were dominating possession, but that goal's knocked a little bit of the stuffing out of them now. They're sort of rushing some of the passes in midfield, giving the ball away. Villa are all over them like a rash, really. And, John McGinn, it's obviously great for Villa to have him back after missing so many games. The midfield engine was stripped of Tielemans as well, and Kamara obviously is out for the rest of the season. So to get McGinn back for this crucial phase and not contributing like this, like he's done already, it's just great for them.
Yeah, it is. And John McGinn with the great finish so far that separates the two sides. We now see Mavropanos goes across to Disasi. 19 minutes on the clock. Remains 1-0 to Aston Villa. Of course, it is the EFL Cup final today at 4:30. Myself and Simon will be covering that one as well. After this game, we now see Mavropanos out towards Jared Bowen, who they've got to get involved that little bit more as well. We've not really seen anything of Pablo either, have we, the Brazilian? That's a poor ball from Wan-Bissaka. He's played a few of them so far, hasn't he? He's been really sloppy.
Yeah, I was praising him for his man-marking abilities, but sometimes his distribution has lacked a little bit, and perhaps stopped him from being recognised as a real top-quality fullback. Today, his last two passes have been poor and giving away possession.
Yeah, we've just seen that there as we now see the ball go to the left-hand side for Morgan Rogers. Attacking run of Rogers to the left. It was actually Sancho in possession, and now it is Rogers in possession. He finds John McGinn, turns away instead of going into traffic. for Ross Barkley, who's got 3 options on the left-hand side if he can find them. Jadon Sancho picks it up. He's darting into the penalty area from the left-hand side onto his right foot. He's still going himself, hangs it up for Onana with the header. He puts it wide. It's a good chance. Just felt like he was on full stretch a little bit to meet the header. It's nice play though from Jadon Sancho, who's occupying and playing space with quite a bit of confidence so far.
Yeah, he's driven Wan-Bissaka back into the penalty area, head up, always looking to where he can put the cross in, and he spots Onana there in a bit of space. And I've got to say, it's a poor header. You know, he's not even jumped really. The guy's huge. You get above that and head it down. You know, you get a bit more purchase on it as well. But he's just sort of drifted his header wide.
Yeah, you now see Torres with a nice interception, and Onana leaves it for Torres to keep it in his stride. He's still going. He's running out of play. I'm not really too sure what the aim was there for Pau Torres. He was just almost jogging in a straight line out of play. We now see Juve with the ball in hand. He's going to throw it in towards Pablo. Looks to turn away. Onana tries to step in not once but twice, and he comes away with it. Sancho with a lovely return pass. Now it's John McGinn who goes down. It's scrappy, but it's Aston Villa who come away with it. Morgan Rogers finds Ollie Watkins, who's got space. He lays it off for Luca Digne with an opportunity. Looks for a cutback into a dangerous area, and it's well cleared away once again. Barkley looks towards Digne, but Jared Bowen gets there first, and did he not want that? It looked like that could have been a corner in the end, but may have took the touch.
May have been offside against Luca Digne there on the left, but Bowen made sure by tracking back. There was a couple of chances there, wasn't there? Obviously, Luca Digne put a cross in. It was stabbed away. I think Ollie Watkins, you know, he's got a situation there, maybe showing his lack of confidence, lack of goals at the moment. You know, he's outside the penalty area, on his left foot, admittedly, but yeah, the man out wide, and that's where the pass has gone. I think he could have had a shot from there, really, but he chose not to.
Yeah, I thought Watkins could have maybe used that as a decoy run a little bit, maybe open it back up onto his right foot. Maybe Watkins last season would have done that with that little bit more confidence. Rogers with the ball out towards the man in question, and here is Watkins for a rare driver. Mavropanos into the penalty area, still going, goes for goal. He tries to bend it towards the far corner, puts way too much on it. It goes way wide in the end, but there's that little bit of zip, that little bit of confidence you want from Ollie Watkins in this one.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Again, he's got a decent view of the goal there and just hits it wide. I'm not sure it was the cleanest contact from him, but yeah, better sort of end product from him, whereas the previous one, he slipped a pass into the full-back. He's actually gone for it himself on this occasion.
Yeah, as you see, Nuno backing through some orders to his side because things have to improve for them because they've lost complete control, or any control that they did have in this one. It feels like if anyone's going to score again, it's going to be Aston Villa. We now see Rogers into the middle, but play stops just for the time being. And with that, 22.5 minutes on the clock. We've reached the halfway stage of this first half. Well, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham 0, thanks to a fantastic strike from John McGinn from a set piece into the far corner. And it will be Simon to take you through to half time.
Just Kieran, just seeing a replay of that goal now. The West Ham defence got completely caught out by that. You know, they're all expecting a cross and then a slow to spot what was really unfolding there. Maybe thinking that Sancho was going to try and cross it in or go for a shot from the edge of the penalty area. They were coming out to him. I think it was Castellanos who was the man on the edge who then bought that dummy, and then that's allowed the pass to go to McGinn. Great first time finish from him though, left-footed, curling it, you know, with his stronger foot obviously, but still had enough to beat Hermansen from the edge of the penalty area. Villa in possession. West Ham still down to 10 because Souček received treatment on the pitch and he's just back to his feet now, waiting for the referee to wave him back on. Villa taking advantage there with the extra man down the right now. It's Matty Cash who plays it back to Ezri Konsa. Again, still no Souček. I know he's back on the pitch now. He must have just snuck on whilst the camera was looking at a different area of the field. A little 1-2 here with Morgan Rogers on with Dean. He plays it to Watkins instead. Now plays it back to Watkins. Chance for Watkins, saved Hermansen with his legs. Ollie Watkins, his effort is repelled. It comes back to the edge of the box and Luca Dean. And now Barkley, terrible touch from him. His second touch was a tackle and he's given it away because here come West Ham on the counter-attack. West Ham with Castellanos now. He's got Pablo in support, has to check back and gets pulled back as well by Barkley, who gave away the ball and will now give away another free kick.
Yeah, free kick goes the way of West Ham, but it's a big save for Mads Hermansen, isn't it? And it's just not going for Ollie Watkins at the moment. It's a lovely play between Watkins and Rogers. They're always on that same wavelength. A couple of 1-2s just opens up. It's a poor strike from him. It's very tame. It's low. It's straight down the throat of the goalkeeper. And Ollie Watkins just couldn't find any of the corners. Couldn't really add a little bit of power to his strike. He'll be disappointed with that.
Still 1-0 to the home side as West Ham enjoy a bit of possession now on the halfway line. Potts knocks it square to Disasi. Back to Freddie Potts. And now they'll try on the right-hand side now through Mavropanos. West Ham have just had the one shot so far and only 2 touches in the Villa penalty area. I think one of those was from Diouf, maybe both actually were from Diouf, for that early opportunity where his cross got blocked. He's on the run again now, trying to latch onto a pass from Disasi, but it's too strong from the Chelsea man, and it goes out for a goal kick. Well, Disasi's play in the last few weeks of Villa has been much improved, hasn't it? And you look at some of the centre-back play that Chelsea have been getting in the interim, and you're thinking, have they let the wrong guy go?
Well, yeah, exactly. Like I said, Disasi at Chelsea was woeful every time I saw him, which is why when I saw West Ham almost take a gamble and bringing him in January, I thought, I'm not sure if he's really going to be the answer for West Ham, but he's been brilliant so far. Hasn't been able to...
Oh, now Mavropanos has got wrong side, but he makes a good goal-saving challenge. He might fall to Sancho, though, and he tips it on to Morgan Rogers. This could be 2-0. Rogers' effort stops, and a follow-up from McGinn, slashed over.
I think he's given a penalty.
He has.
I think the referee's just given a penalty to West Ham, to Aston Villa. I think it was the one in the build-up, and they've all lost their minds of the West Ham players. It's almost like it's utter confusion.
Yeah, so let's go back to what happened there. Mavropanos got caught wrong side by Ollie Watkins, who turned him, gets into the penalty area, tries to fire a cross back in, then there's the initial shot blocked. So it was Mavropanos who's got hold of Ollie Watkins. He's wrong side, but he manages to snake a foot round. That's a clean tackle for me. That is not a penalty. So what on earth Tierney is seen here?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, if he was having to give anything, it would be a free kick, because that's where Mavropanos initially pulls across Ollie Watkins. I mean, that's a perfect sliding change. There's no way VAR let that go to as a penalty.
Well, VAR is having a good look. In fact, no, the VAR's already called Tierney over to correct himself here, so this isn't going to be a penalty.
Yeah, there's no chance that can be a penalty. And what a wasted chance as well for Aston Villa. We saw it fall to Morgan Rogers. Once again, it just felt like a tame strike. It didn't really open his body up, didn't really go for power and placement. It's just a tame effort that was easily blocked, and then John McGinn couldn't replicate his first finish, but the referee's going over, he's having a look at the monitor right now. I don't think it'll take him that long to realise this shouldn't be a penalty.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the perfect, correct application of VAR, and the referee didn't stop the play until, he doesn't give the penalty there, does he? Because he thinks there's still a chance there that Aston Villa can score from open play. So actually, the referee, apart from then calling the penalty after it had all gone dead, he's done everything right there, because he's given Villa the chance to score from open play, from play on. Then they haven't. He's given a penalty which is incorrect, and VAR's corrected him, so we've got the right outcome now.
Yeah, we should have the right outcome, unless he decides to stick with his decision, which never happens, does it? He's currently discussing towards Villa Park and communicating his decision, which we can't hear, but by the facial expressions of the Villa fans, I can imagine there's been no penalty given. Yeah.
That's Paul Tierney was last seen in the Chelsea huddle last week, wasn't he? Popping up in the middle of that. He's going to be in the middle of the penalty area now, because it's going to be, presumably this is going to be a corner we're going to restart with, right?
I think John McGinn, did he put it over the bar himself?
Oh, he did, yeah, he did slash it. Yeah, so a big goal kick, yeah. Goal kick to West Ham, who still trail 1-0. Cameras linger on Mavropanos, but he did get turned quite too easily, really, by Watkins in the build-up, and then he redeemed himself with that good challenge on the England striker. Now, a nice 1-2 there between Bowen and Castellanos. Tries to play in Pablo, a little bit too strong the pass. It allows Martinez to get off his line and smother. And the Argentinian now bowls it out over arm, trying to find Rogers now bursting through the midfield. It's a 3-on-3. It's a great bit of distribution from the World Cup winner. He's fed it out to the left-hand side, and Watkins. Watkins out getting corralled by Potts and Wan-Bissaka. Has to check out again. Holds it up on the edge of the box. Still tries on the outside of Wan-Bissaka. And still going here. Can he feed a ball in? He's taking his time. He creates room for Rogers, who might go for goal. His effort is blocked and cannons up in the air, where it will run outside the penalty area towards a corner flag, and Sancho will let it run for a corner.
Yeah, corner for Aston Villa. They're linking up good, aren't they? Morgan Rogers and Ollie Watkins. Some of the passages of play between those two, it's almost like it's a front four, just those two. They've been that influential. Just seeing the pulling. And so we don't really need to see that change much more, do we, from Mavropanos? But yeah, Morgan Rogers was just hesitant. John McGinn, let's say, his effort straight after. But Aston Villa are well on top in this opening 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's been a great sort of opening half hour for the home side. Can they get that second goal that probably their dominance has deserved? They've got, again, a very crowded scene around the goalkeeper for this corner. It's going to be swung in left-footed by Luke Dean. And it goes near post, flicks on, and it's off the line by Mavropanos, who somehow gets a block on that attempt from, I think, Konsa. And he goes behind for a corner.
Wow, what an opportunity that is. It may be a goal kick in the end. I think it's Morgan Rogers who hits the strike in the end. It is. What a block that is. Konsa puts it behind for a goal kick. Seeing it now. What a block. I mean, he doesn't really know too much about it, does he, Mavropanos? It just cannons off his head, but he has saved his side there. I mean, a bit of the ball may have even been over the line, but not the full ball. But what a chance, and what a bit of defending again from the Greek international.
Yeah, well, you mentioned Disasi early on and the form he's been in. Well, Mavropanos, I think, has been a big part of... Well, they've both been a part of each other, haven't they? Because they look like a really good sort of combination. You know, you got one guy who's a front-footed defender. Well, I heard these front-footed defenders called dogs this week. You got centre-backs who are dogs and cats. The dogs are the guys who want to get on the front foot and come out and get straight into tackles. The cats are the guys who patrol around them, sort of thing like that. And I think it's, they are a good combination. They've both got elements of that to the game. He's another player as well who had his chance at a big club, and it just didn't happen for him at Arsenal, did he? It was a bit of a dud at Arsenal, and he's really come into his own at West Ham.
Yeah, he has. He's been really good over these last 2 months, especially maybe since the start of January. Like you say, the signing of Disasi, he's not necessarily just improved West Ham because of one individual. He's improved other players as well. And yeah, they've become a great partnership. And I guess when sometimes they do want to go to a three at the back and add Todibo to it, he's a good centre-half himself as well. But if they ever have to switch up like they've had to today, go to a back four, those two, they can be reliable. However, the rest of the players have been really poor so far for West Ham. They haven't got going.
Yeah, well, I was comparing Todibo to an animal. He wouldn't be a dog or a cat. He'd be more of a rabbit, to be honest, because I don't rate him that much. But they have, obviously they've got a goal down at the moment, West Ham, so they need to get back into this game somehow. West Ham still in the relegation zone as things stand, on 18th place on 29 points. No goals yet in the other 2:15 kickoff, Tottenham against Nottingham Forest. And the Carabao Cup final to come at Wembley from 4:30. Villa just enjoying a bit of quiet possession at the moment, and it's Torres now on the ball. Spaniard just ghosts around the outside of Pablo far too easily, knocks it into McGinn's feet. Now Dean, who's tucked in for the moment, gets a challenge from Potts, which he rides, gets back to his feet. Potts returns to the central midfield position. Goes wide to Konsa. And now Amadou Onana just moving the ball along. Sideways out to the right-hand side, to the left-hand side for Dean. Looking for a 1-2 McGinn. It's a nice ball back from the Scot. Dean's got a chance to cross. Plays it in low towards Rogers, edge of the box. Now it's played across here to Amadou Onana, who strikes and it's deflected. In fact, it's blocked by Diouf just inside the area. Comes back out for a throw-in, which is quickly taken by Cash. Although, yeah, the referee has said that's fair enough. We continue. 33 minutes on the clock. Villa 1-0 up. Looking for a second goal before the break with Dean out on that left again. Goes back to Torres, former Villarreal man. Carries it into midfield. Now plays a straight ball up towards McGinn. McGinn back to goal. Plays a good ball here to Watkins. Up against the last defender, Mavropanos. Watkins strikes towards the far post and he's dragged it wide.
Yeah, and Ollie Watkins, he's just not getting the fortune, is he? It's not going through. What a chance that is. Again, a striker with confidence. You think they're burying it, don't you? What an opportunity. It's just him and Mavropanos, so central as well. He looks for the far post. It's a corner in the end. It takes the deflection of Mavropanos, who once again, good defending. He doesn't dive in, he doesn't sell himself, but I think Watkins can do a lot better. Yeah.
Watkins on his right foot. He knew he was going to strike. It was just a matter of when, and Mavropanos didn't buy any of the dummies and just stayed firm and got half a block on the shot, which is why it is going to be this corner now, to be taken by Cash. Villa with 10 goals from corners this season. Only two teams with more from these situations, obviously Arsenal among them. This one's in towards the back post, in fact near post it is, and it's punched away by Hermansen. Then on the edge it's flicked on by Castellanos now to Fernandez. He's lost it though with an attempted back heel. That was a bit risky. McGinn's played it back towards the corner taker. Dean, who drifts across towards the far post. Catching practice for Hermansen.
Yeah, easy take from Hermansen. Ball in from Matty Cash is a poor to him one this time. And West Ham are looking to counter.
Yeah, they're coming down the left now. Pablo knocks it back to Mateus Fernandez, the ex-Southampton man. Squares it into the feet of the arriving Mavropanos. Mavropanos now clipping a pass out to the left. It's good delivery to Diouf. It's Diouf now. Square inside to Mateus Fernandes. Half a tackle comes in from Onana. He's still retained possession though for West Ham. Knocks it back to Mavropanos. Deep crossing position, but he's not going to take that option. The Greek. And he swaps passes with Wan-Bissaka. And that's point of attack is changed now as they come over to the left now with Axel Disasi. Carries it forward into a bit of space. He's got Diouf out wide. Senegalese international knocks it back to Freddie Potts. Potts finding a shot from the edge of the penalty area. It's actually from Jared Bowen. It takes a deflection and goes behind for a corner.
Yeah, corner, rare opportunity to put the big centre halves forward themselves for West Ham for once, who can finally have a bit of a breather as well, because it's been all Aston Villa. The fact this game is only 1-0 is quite the shock, isn't it? Aston Villa have had some great chances to make it 2 and 3, but West Ham, they're living life dangerously, but they are still in this game.
Yeah, Jared Bowen had a quick chat there with the hand over the mouth with Thomas Souček before he went over to take this corner. So I wonder if he's got something in mind, or something slightly different to try and either involve Souček or maybe use him as a decoy. Souček's gone right on a goalkeeper, as has Pablo. In comes the corner, high towards the back post, and it's an easy claim for Martinez. Well, Souček wasn't there in the end. It was Pablo who didn't do his job, stopping the keeper from getting there.
Yeah, exactly. And Pablo and Castellanos have just almost harried him out so he couldn't play it quickly. I don't know what Conce's doing in that situation. I think he was telling him maybe to put the ball down. We've, as a keeper, been punished for that since maybe the first 2 weeks. And also, do they even operate that anymore? I know there's been situations where goalkeepers have held the ball for a long time and not being punished by giving away the corner. It just feels like it was one of them rules that didn't really affect anything.
Yeah, it was put in place for a few weeks, wasn't it? And then it seems to have, either the goalkeepers are in full compliance, but I tend to think probably not. And in that occasion there, it felt like Emilio Martinez had it for longer. Certainly Conce felt that as well. I've just seen a foul now by Rodgers on Pablo, giving away a free kick to West Ham. About 8 minutes to half-time at Villa Park, and it's the home side who lead, looking to build on their recent Europa League successes. And the man who got the goal, John McGinn. As I think we're seeing more shots of the set-piece coach than we are of Unai Emery on the sidelines for Aston Villa. Here's the West Ham set-piece. It's driven into the penalty area at the back post. It's taken down on the chest, and now Souček with a shot is blocked by Conce. However, the offside flag was up against the Czech.
Yeah, there looked like a couple of offsides, but the marking in there was just woeful from Aston Villa. Souček and Disasi and Akers have spaced. They've taken the free kick quickly to try and get on the front foot themselves. Aston Villa, but yeah, a real let-off there for the home side. Driving
run from Sancho, links up with McGinn. Villa in West Ham territory again as Amadou Onana carefully manoeuvres the ball out to Pau Torres. He joins the attack now, sends it wide. Subs warming up for both teams on the far side now as we approach half-time. Wonder whether Nuno Espirito Santo will be tempted to make a change. His formation that he changed because of the injury to Todibo is not really working. Long ball forward from Martinez up towards Watkins, headed away by Mavropanos. Drops in the centre circle and controlled by Onana. Here's Barkley. He's had a fairly disappointing game as well, the former Everton and Chelsea player. Had that good sort of spell at Luton, didn't he, when they got into the Premier League. Got his move to Villa on the back of that, and here he is driving forward and finding McGinn 25 yards out, sends it wide to the right for Sancho. Sancho lets the ball move on to his outside leg, and he's just been sent a little bit wider there by a challenge from Diouf, which knocks it out for a throw. Sancho takes it quickly. Some reports this week that Borussia Dortmund want Sancho back for a third time. He'll be out of contract in the summer, so they wouldn't have to pay a fee. Presumably there'll be some fairly high wages to shell out there. Probably kind of break Borussia Dortmund's wage structure, that one, but they do love him. He's had 2 good spells there before.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that move across to a different country might just really get it going for him once again. I've actually been impressed with him today. I think he's playing pretty well for Aston Villa. He's just been too inconsistent since making the move to Unai Emery's side, as Morgan Rodgers almost does the splits there as he sleeps. Thankfully, he's back to his feet and he's okay.
Yeah, Pablo's played the ball. It looks like probably Castellanos sees it. Well, the flag stayed down. Castellanos breaking through right hand side. Pablo trying to join in the attack. It's an awful ball back from the Argentinian, which gave Pablo no chance, and now the flag does eventually go up.
Yeah, he looked offside, didn't he? Conce really held his line. He stood firm. He stood tall ahead and instantly put his hand up. And Castellanos, he tried to make his run as wide as possible so he could stay onside. We're going to see it back now. And Ezri Conce, credit to him, he just stands on the halfway line, which means that Castellanos he's a toe ahead of the halfway line. He's really clever from Ezri Konsa in that sense, and yeah, great defending in the end.
Yeah, Castellanos though didn't get the pass right into the middle, so they didn't score, and we didn't have to go through the rigmarole of the VAR check there. So it's just going to be a free kick to Aston Villa then for the offside on the halfway line, taken by Luca Dean. And he goes back to Torres. And all the way back now to Martinez, who's not done a great deal in this game, has he, in terms of shots that he's had to deal with. West Ham haven't really tested him.
Yeah, they haven't. Emi Martinez has had a really quiet afternoon in this opening 40 minutes. We've not seen this confident, attacking away West Ham side that the form has really shown, have we, so far, 40 minutes in. And like we said, we're more shocked it's not 2 or 3-0 to Aston Villa than it is 1-1, which maybe tells you the trajectory of how this game's gone. Yeah.
West Ham, they're staying in the game at the moment, aren't they? I mean, it's not pretty, but they're not going further behind, whether that's through a bit of luck as well. It's poor finishing. But Villa have got to get that second goal, you feel, if they're going to kill West Ham off. There's an attack now. It's good play from Villa. They've bypassed the West Ham press, which was fairly ordinary, to be honest, and they've got it to Barkley in midfield. West Ham now just filtering back, trying to get into that low block position. They've got it out wide to Sancho. He comes back in field and finds Anana. Now Cash, right back position, but an advanced position as well. He goes back to Konsa. He's in the England squad this week, although he's played more games at right back than he has at centre back for Thomas Tuchel, Ezri Konsa. A good utility man to have around a squad for the summer, assuming he makes it into the final 23. As the ball's played back to Konsa again on the halfway line. Just knocks it to McGinn. Back to Konsa. They're trying to tempt this West Ham press, but it's not really coming. Now they've gone wide to the right for Cash, who gets it out of his feet, tries to barrel forward, stopped by Mateus Fernandes. Inside to Sancho, then back to Cash it goes. Cash looking for Sancho, who's run off at the back of Mateus Fernandes, and he's got quick feet. He sat him down as well there. Sancho now with a chance to cross, but he's just delaying and delaying, rolling his foot across the ball, slips it to Barkley instead. They go back to Sancho. And inside, this is terrible from West Ham. Mateus Fernandes, where is he? He's left 2 men run off the back of him there, and eventually Cash slips. He tries to get across him, but they're targeting Mateus Fernandes because he's just switching off.
Yeah, he's switching off a little bit. He's not getting a lot of help either from maybe Freddie Potts. He's not coming over and helping him enough on that far side as the midfield, as the central midfielder that Potts sees in between Hernandez and Souček. He has to rotate to either side. Ball whipped in, easily dealt with by Juve. Calm chest into the path of the keeper.
Yeah, it was Dina's cross, but Juve did not panic one bit there. But yeah, it looks like they've possibly spotted a weakness in this West Ham low block, and it's where Mateus Fernandes is just not tracking runners off the back of him. So they can overload on this side and potentially get in, but at the moment it's West Ham back in possession 2 minutes before half time. There will be some stoppage time because the VAR check on the penalty that was awarded and then retracted. Here comes Disasi carrying out defence, and it's an awful pass from the Frenchman straight out of play. He was looking to find Diouf. It's a 10-yard pass, just hit it too hard and in front of him.
Yeah, and he lost his foot as he played the pass. It's just not going for West Ham. I think the main positive message for Nuno will be, yes, you've been really poor. You're only a goal down. Yeah. Anything can really happen in the second half. You're somehow only a goal down. Play on it. That's going to be a yellow card, surely, for Wan-Bissaka.
Well, he's had about 3 grabs of Morgan Rogers' shirt. Rogers is taking him on again. Goes in the penalty area. Referee says penalty. Does he? No, he's pointed to the ball. I beg your pardon. He's pointed to the ball, saying it was a fair tackle. But Rogers was being hauled back there by Wan-Bissaka for about 10 yards. As now, here come West Ham on the counter-attack. This is going to be offside against Castellanos. So let's just go back to what happened there. Yeah, we were kind of looking at the defending by Wan-Bissaka, saying this has got to be a yellow card because he's got 2 handfuls of Rogers' shirt getting turned. And maybe now the referee will pull that card out for Wan-Bissaka. Rogers got into the penalty area, tried to ride another challenge. And then I see the referee pointing, but he's pointing to say that it was a clean tackle in the end. But surely there's got to be some kind of punishment for Wan-Bissaka.
He might have got away with it, which I'm absolutely bemused by it. No, I don't think he has. I think he has got the yellow card, and there's confirmation. His 4th yellow of the season. He was pulling him the whole time. I mean, credit to Morgan Rogers. He stayed on his feet. I think when he finally got the better of Wan-Bissaka, he just had to play it to Ollie Watkins on the left-hand side, but he goes himself on this instance. He just keeps running into traffic. Watkins had peeled off and made a great bit of movement for him, but here come Villa.
Yeah, with Rogers slipping in on Sancho into the penalty area. Cuts it back to the edge of the box, and it's just behind Watkins, who made a near-post run. Booted away by West Ham, who are hanging on here, approaching half-time. 45 minutes up. Villa still lead 1-0. They've got a corner in stoppage time.
Yeah, 3 minutes of added time as well. It's cleared away by Freddie Potts. It was a poor clearance as well from him, a really poor clearance. There might be a massive goal at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and it might be the way of Nottingham Forest, which we will await confirmation of. But wow, Tottenham, imagine a world in where they actually go and find themselves getting relegated. But it's going to be Luca Digne, the man over this corner. It's going to be an in-swinging delivery.
Yeah, from the right-hand side. So, again, there's a lot of bodies around Hermansen trying to crowd him out here. In comes the ball towards the back post, and it's headed down, and it's actually headed over the bar, but it's bounced over the bar from Ezri Konsa.
Yeah, was it Ollie Watkins at the back post who gets his head to it? Mavropanos has stayed down. Confirmation, Forest have taken the lead at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. What a big goal that is. It's Igor Jesus with it away from home. It means Tottenham leapfrog. Nottingham Forest, should I say, leapfrog Tottenham into 16th on 32 points. They'd go a point behind Leeds, and Tottenham would only be above West Ham by the 1 point. If West Ham won this game and the scores stay the same, we'd be talking about Tottenham in a bottom 3.
Yeah, I think it's been one of those scenarios that probably nobody apart from Tottenham fans have really thought that much about. You think they're going to get out of it. They've got enough quality. You know, they've got that. I mean, they're going to have the best stadium the Championship's ever seen, aren't they? I mean, it's like it's probably the best stadium in the Premier League, but they possibly might not be in the Premier League. Obviously, still a long way to go, but it's not a good situation for them. Aston Villa 1-0 up, approaching half-time in here. They'll think they should be more than 1 goal to the good. They just had that corner from Watkins. Well, it was aimed towards Watkins, who there was basically 3 Villa players. There's a chance save maybe for West Ham to put the ball in behind, but Pau Torres should deal with this. He gets fouled, I think, there, does he? No, the referee says corner. The referee says corner to West Ham, and there might just be enough time. Well, there is. There's about 60 seconds left of stoppage time, so there is time for West Ham to take this. But yeah, that last corner from Villa, he put it to the back post. There's 3 Villa players getting in each other's way. You know, Watkins does head it down and over, but Rogers was there and Konsa was there. Any one of them could have had a free header. It was such poor marking from West Ham. They have a corner themselves now, though, with Jared Bowen to take it, swing it in left-footed. And it goes low near post, and it's easily headed away by Dean. As now Wan-Bissaka, fresh air kick, gives Villa a chance to break, and then he recovers with a little pirouette challenge. And then he's tackled himself again by Amadou Onana, and it goes out for a throw. Well, there's too many West Ham players just not playing well enough there, and it would not surprise me if Nuno made a double change at half-time, because there's... You know, he's got to shake this up somehow. Here come West Ham on the attack, but it's lost by Bowen to Onana, and then the referee looks at his watch and blows the whistle to end a half in which Villa really have dominated and should be more than 1 goal up. Half-time, Aston Villa 1, West Ham 0.
Half-time at Villa Park. It's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It was a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park, it's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been a dominant display from Unai Emery's side. They took the lead through a very clever set piece. They took it short, a ball across towards the edge of the box, and it was John McGinn who just hammered it and placed it into the far corner. It's a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. West Ham haven't had any chances. Aston Villa should have had a second. Ollie Watkins has had a couple of chances, as well as Morgan Rogers, who's running the show so far going into the break. 1-0 Villa. Half-time at Villa Park. And we will leave that just there because we are back underway at Villa Park. It's Aston Villa 1, West Ham United 0. And it is very much a deserved lead for Aston Villa on another day and another half of football. It could have been 2 and 3 for Unai Emery's side. They took the lead for a fantastic set-piece move, one where they went short from a crossing position, passed it to the edge of the box, and John McGinney almost just caressed it into that far corner from distance from the edge of the box. It was a lovely finish from the Scottish skipper. And then West Ham never really responded. Aston Villa, they had chances, they had one cleared off the line. They had a couple of great opportunities through Rodgers and Watkins. Rodgers had just slipped playing a through ball for Watkins, and Mavropanos can only just boot it up into towards the stands. Well, it stayed in play. Great take from Juve in the end. Fantastic play from him to keep that alive, as it wasn't no less convincing from Mavropanos. Well, West Ham, they've acted at half-time, and they had to as well. A couple changes, maybe a change of formation again for them in this one, because Wilson comes on for Castellanos, which is like for like, but Adama Traore is on for Freddie Potts, so that's a right winger on for the central midfielder in the midfield three. I'll bring Simon in a moment, as we've got McGinn on the attack. Sancho plays it down the right hand side for Matty Cash, who fits it across, looking for Watkins. It's deflected away, finds Luca Digne, who takes a touch. He hits it and it's well blocked, but I think it's blocked in the place you never would want it to, as a man as Wan-Bissaka stays down in the end. But the two changes for West Ham, they needed them, Simon.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Freddie Potts, you know, because he's obviously not prepared to start the game. He's preparing as he's warming up to be a substitute, and then he gets thrust into the side. He's just not performed at all in that first 45 minutes. But he wasn't alone, you know, like we said at half-time, or just going into half-time. Really, you know, he's got to make changes, and he could change any one of these players, obviously apart from maybe the big players like Jared Bowen. So he's acted. He's made two positive changes for me. I think obviously it is definitely going to be a change of formation. He's still trying to put across his ideas to the players out there about how the formation's going to work. But we saw Aston Villa defending in a 4-4-2. A lot of teams do that. And it wouldn't surprise me if West Ham had gone into something like a 4-4-2, an attacking 4-4-2, or just basically a 4-4-2 shape that is both attacking and defending, to match up a little bit more to West Ham, to Aston Villa when they're out of possession.
Well, there's a lot of attackers left on the pitch now for Aston Villa. It means there's now Pablo, Bowen, Wilson and Traore, so there is four of them. Fernanda is quite an attacking-minded midfielder as well. You can even say Juve is an attacking fullback as well. He's better going forwards than he is defensively, in my opinion. As you now see, Rodgers cuts inside, whips in a dangerous ball, but it's overhit, and it's gone beyond everyone and out for a goal kick. But it certainly feels like Aston Villa starting the half how they left off the first.
Yeah, they've pushed West Ham back again, haven't they? So, you know, their momentum is still very strong, very positive. West Ham have got to just dig in. You know, they got to dig. I mean, they were sort of holding on in there, but it was clinging on, really. They weren't digging in to necessarily stop Villa from hurting them. Just that Villa couldn't put away the chances in the first half. They've got to dig in now, second half, and really sort of draw a line in the sand and say, okay, we're going to defend our box, we're going to get forward, and we're going to try and find a way to score a goal to get us back in this game.
Yes, now see Luca Digne. He plays it down the channel, looking towards Ollie Watkins, holding it up. He goes down under the challenge from Mavropanos, doesn't get the free kick, and he's not happy with Paul Tierney for that decision. As you now see Wan-Bissaka with the ball in hand. He's going to throw it down the line for Jared Bowen. It's a weirdly short throwing from him in the end. He gets it back in his stride. Does the fullback. He's ready to throw it for Jared Bowen. The flick-on's intercepted by Barkley. Nice touches from Ross Barkley as well. And he plays a lovely ball into the middle for Jadon Sancho. There's not much movement ahead of him, so he carries it into the space himself. He wanted to run in the channel from Ollie Watkins. He never got it. That's quite poor from the English forward, because there was that space on the right, wasn't there, where he really could have just darted into. And once again, we allude to it, Ollie Watkins of previous seasons, you feel, would have absolutely made that move. We now see Pau Torres, though, in possession. Goes to the left-hand side for Digne. Rodgers just scoops it into Ross Barkley, who's driving it forwards. He plays a poor ball looking for Rodgers, but poor touches from Fernandes. It's going to be Barkley who hits it from distance. It's a good save from Hermansen. He just tips it over the bar. It's pretty central from Barkley in the end, but he fancied it.
Yeah, I mean, well, since praising Mateus Fernandes, he's had a pretty awful game. You know, it was like 10 minutes into the game. I was saying, he's really coming to his own since Lucas Paquetá has gone. But he's making some horrendous defensive errors now. I mean, he really should have stopped that pass from from Barkley, and Barkley picks up the loose ball and warms the fingers of Hermansen with a drive from distance. You know, they've scored a lot of goals from range this season, haven't they, Villa? It's been one of their things, and Ross Barkley tried to add another there.
Yeah, exactly that. As we just saw that strike, the ball's now in the path of Luca Digne, ready to be whipped in from the corner. It's going to be an in-swinging delivery from the Frenchman. As they're all just lining up near the goalkeeper once again, right in front of him, trying to just block the vision. As it's being whipped in towards Ollie Watkins, he doesn't win his header. It's Mavropanos who wins it again, and Matty Cash hits one from distance, slices through it a bit too much, puts it over the bar.
Yeah, he's apologised to his teammates there because he only had eyes for the spectacular goal. I mean, obviously he's scored a couple of fantastic goals, second phase from corners this season for them. You know, I mentioned how many goals from range they've scored, and he's chipped in with a couple, hasn't he? Obviously McGinn scored one as well today, but on this occasion he just goes high, wide, and handsome, and then he apologises to his teammates in wide position, saying perhaps I should have passed that one.
Yeah, as we now see a ball just been thrown back on the pitch, as Mavropanos is going to boot it long down the line, looking towards Callum Wilson, who's battling with Ezri Konsa. Konsa gets there first, sharp turn. He's being clipped by Jared Bowen as well, but that's brilliant from Konsa. It's so open, isn't it, in midfield for Aston Villa. They're just running through them. Here's Rodgers, plays it in for Jadon Sancho. He's got a good chance. Can he look across the face of goal for Ollie Watkins? He just took too long. Hermansen, does he catch it and put it out of play? No, he doesn't. He keeps it in play, but Jadon Sancho just didn't play across the face of goal for Watkins quick enough. And as we now see challenge go in on Adama Traore, he's going to try and cause problems for Matty Cash. It's his first real touches as the Spaniard plays it to the right hand side, and it's good first touches from the former Villa man, of course, was a youngster at Aston Villa. Never really got too much of a chance. Mateus Fernandes with a great switch of play out for Juve, who takes it down. He's going to look for a deep cross, as we know he likes to do, and it's Torres with the header away out for a throw. And West Ham finally get their first attack of the half.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned how the midfield's been completely vacated. Obviously, Potts going off and Traore coming on has helped sort of facilitate that now. It's very open in the midfield area. So it's a risky game being played by Nuno, but he's obviously thought here we need to risk a lot to get back into this game. The putting crosses out from wide, that one from Doof there was a good delivery, and it has earned them, a bit of a foothold in the final third.
Yes, we now see Mavropanos with the ball in hand, ready to launch this one into the penalty area. And he throws it high, and it's not a great one, but it's well won by Wilson, who lays it off for Fernandes on the left side. He hangs it up for the back post. That's brilliant defending from Luca Digne. Gets there ahead of Pablo. It's vital from the Frenchman, who puts it behind for a corner.
Yeah, he never stopped concentrating there, did he? He did his job absolutely perfectly there, Digne, at the back post. Got in there before Pablo. Great ball in, though. Great ball in from Mateus Fernandes, and but for some good defending there, good concentration, that could have been 1-1.
Yeah, Fernandes goes for goal. Well blocked by Digne again. He's very alert. Is the Frenchman. Hernández having to go at Jadon Sancho, I believe, saying that he had to go out to press that a little bit quicker. Got to stay alert in this game because Aston Villa could get punished for missing those chances in the first half, even at the start of this half as well, with a couple opportunities. But this throw ready to be taken again as West Ham in a decent spell. Mavropanos in front of the travelling faithful. Mavropanos launched it into the area, headed away by Onana, and it's been headed back out towards Mavropanos, who's going to cross it first time. It's a good delivery to the back post where Disasi's there, but his header goes straight down the throat of Emi Martinez. Simple save for the Argentine goalkeeper, but it's interesting. Mavropanos taking long throws. You probably want him in there.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it's turned into one centre back to another, isn't it? Across to a header, which was down and is easily saved by Martinez. But he's got. I mean, his long throws haven't been great in this game, but his actual quality on the ball is good for a centre back, and they are going to use him, I think, to try and. We've seen him play a set piece into the penalty area as well, so he's got that ability on him.
Yeah, as we now see. Ball to the right hand side. We now see Matty Cash in possession. He's going to go all the way across to Ezri Konsa, and Ezri Konsa takes it into his stride, plays it to the left hand side for Pau Torres, who's going to carry it forwards, and he plays it into Morgan Rodgers. Now it's going to be Ollie Watkins. Sharp turn from him, still going himself. He's hit it. He should have really played that in towards Jadon Sancho. Now it's Onana, hangs it up towards the left hand side. Luca Digne takes it into his stride once again. He looks for a ball into the area, blocked away by Wan-Bissaka, lays it off for Ross Barkley, who takes a heavy touch in the area. Decent chance, but this is better from Aston Villa once more. It's really end-to-end is this game. John McGinn with a cross into the box, and it's blocked away for a throw-in. Good spell, though, in this one. It's been a great start to this second half with a lot of talking points so far. As we now see this throw-in ready to be taken in the penalty area. 55 minutes on the clock, and it's been thrown into the area. Morgan Rogers can't get there. Not a great throw from Luca Digne, and now it's Pau Torres just trying to slow things down a little bit. You can tell who Unai Emery's side, they're desperate for that second goal. They're not just sitting on this lead. Rogers looks to switch it towards the right-hand side. Decent touch from him. John McGinn brings it away from Traore. Down the line for Matty Cash, who's going to occupy it on that space. And now it's back for John McGinn in the central area of Onana. Barkley, first time to the right. Matty Cash on full stretch to make sure that ball doesn't go out of play. Ross Barkley with a hand of apology, but the attack's still alive for Aston Villa. A lot of movement from them so far. Just really struggling for that second goal, of course. We now see Onana looks to turn away from Callum Wilson, who's trying to get busy since his arrival into this one. Now it's Konsa, 56 minutes on the clock, still 1-0 to Aston Villa. Matty Cash now into the space of Onana, who's not being pressed at all from the midfield of West Ham. Watkins drops deep to get a few touches. Barkley still very central, just inside the West Ham half. Plays it to the left for Pau Torres. Just shows how advanced Aston Villa really are from this bit of movement and this possession. Ball into Rogers, first time for Pau Torres. It's almost like they're just trying to bait the West Ham press into them just to play through them, because they've done it so many times. Morgan Rogers holds onto it, plays it into the middle for Sancho. He finds a pass to Onana. It's Watkins holding it up. He's been dragged to the floor. No free kick given, and here come West Ham on the counter-attack. It's Wilson. Does he hold onto it for too long? Yes, he does. He's got lucky to find Pablo, though. He's very central, driving into the final third. He's got a lot of movement ahead of him. He finds Jared Bowen on the right-hand side into the penalty. He goes for goal. Big block by Konsa, and it goes for a corner.
Yeah, they got caught out on the counter-attack, didn't they, there? I mean, it looked like it was all going to break down, but miraculously, Pablo's managed to haul this pass in. It was not intended for him at all, but then he does the, I think he does the easy thing there. He passes it to Jared Bowen, and perhaps the harder and more, well, perhaps the more decisive pass would have been to find Adama Traore going at full pelt towards that left-hand channel. In the end, Bowen's cut inside on his left foot and got a shot away, but it was headed over the bar.
Here's you now see Jared Bowen ready to take this one. 57.5 minutes on the clock. Aston Villa 1, West Ham 0. But a good chance here from a set piece. Can they make the most of it? It's Jared Bowen who hangs it into the area to the back post, looking for Souček, who wins his first point of contact, and it's going to be Barkley who heads away. Souček keeps it alive. Bit of head tennis in the penalty area. He's headed back in towards the area, all the way to the back post for Jared Bowen. He's latched at his strike and he's put it wide. I'm not sure if an offside flag went up against him in the end, but what a chance for Jared Bowen. The offside flag has gone up, but he just sneaked around because I don't think anybody expected it to bobble through like that.
Yeah, it spares his blushes, doesn't it, the offside flag? I'm not sure he would have been the one offside, though, but either way, I think he probably knew that the flag was going to go up, and he just sort of slashed at the ball and made a horrible mess of it. We're just seeing Yuri Tielemans, who is on the bench today. He's still warming up, but it wouldn't be too much of a surprise to see maybe him brought on at some stage soon. They just need a bit more control in the midfield, but here comes Barkley trying to exert it.
Yeah, Barkley driving forwards, picks a lovely pass for Jadon Sancho. He's driving into the penalty area, lays it off for Morgan Rogers, who looks to find McGinn, and it's going to be Onana who takes it first time. He puts it over the bar in the end, the former Evertonian. Really end-to-end, which, I mean, for myself and you, Simon, as neutrals watching this game, perfect. It's been a great watch.
Yeah, and I think still Villa more or less on top in terms of what they're creating, what they're getting, and the risks that West Ham are taking just to stay still in the game. Really, you know, they've really emptied the midfield and they're looking vulnerable to any kind of transition. John McGinn's moving around the pitch, and he's moving other players around the pitch as well in a really clever way that's opening up West Ham. Just needs Watkins to find his shooting boots, and this game would be out of sight.
Yeah, it would have been. As we now see McGinn, he's driving forwards in a bit of space under now pressure from Souček. He turns away. Oh, he just sticks his bum out, doesn't he? John McGinn, when he turns away from his man, just to allows himself to get that little bit of space away. As we now see physical concept in possession. As we now go across to Barkley. Aston Villa just picking and choosing their times when to add a little bit of pace to this game, when to slow things down that little bit. Digne plays it into the middle for John McGinn. He looks to turn away from Mavropanos, but not once but twice Mavropanos steps in, does brilliantly. He finds a pass to Jared Bowen. He's just driving straight down the right hand side, and that's good defending from Ross Barkley, who's claiming for the goal kick. Did it take the double kiss? I believe it did. Jared Bowen, it's unfortunate, but it's great work from Barkley.
Yeah, Barkley's not given up that at all, has he? And he's really tracked back well. I wouldn't be surprised if his number was the one shown, next up. But he's really doing his best to try and prevent Unai Emery from giving him an excuse to take him off with his work right there.
Yes, you now see the ball on the far middle for John McGinn. He flicks it onto Ollie Watkins, and that's a bit weak from Morgan Rogers. But in the end, Watkins finally gets the benefit of one of those decisions. He's gone down a few times, hasn't he, under those challenges. And now we're into this one, like I mentioned, at 3:30. So in just short of an hour, myself and Simon will be covering the EFL Cup final. Arsenal against Manchester City at Wembley Stadium. The interesting team uses James Trafford and Kepa Arrizabalaga. Starts at the main number ones have been dropped. Matt Gahey, of course, cup-tied for that one as well. You now see Konsa goes to the right-hand side, back to the Premier League action. Of course, as we see Barkley into Onana. He's going to drive forward straight through the heart of the midfield. Onana plays it in towards Ollie Watkins. Now it's going to be Sancho, overlapping run from Matty Cash. That's so unfortunate. Sancho crosses it. It's blocked off the back of Juve and bounces off the head of Matty Cash and out for a goal kick.
Yeah, it's not really worked for Matty Cash today, has it? He's not really been able to impose himself on a game. He's tried to overlap Sancho there and just not been able to take the ball. Game being watched by Rob Edwards, the Wolverhampton Wanderers boss. Wonder whether Wolves are playing one of these two teams in the near future. Probably so. But he's obviously keeping a keen eye on another Premier League game on his patch, if you like, in the West Midlands.
Yeah, ball in behind, well brought down by Pau Torres. And then he plays it to Matty Cash. He's going to look for a forward ball for John McGinn. That's a nice play from Aston Villa. But Jadon Sancho slips, so does Mavropanos. They slip at the same time, but it's the Greekman that comes away with it. He's done everything today, hasn't he? Mavropanos just been brilliant. And of course, scored the vital goal for them recently against Manchester City as well to steal a point in that one. As we now see Souček in possession up against Ollie Watkins. He tackles it to the left-hand side of Axel Disasi. Now it's going to be with Mateus Fernandes, who plays it forward for Traore. He could have turned into space there, but he doesn't. And Traore skips away from his man. He's got an option to the left. He doesn't use it. Traore hangs it up to the back post, looking towards Callum Wilson, who takes it down. Great first touch. He flashed it across the face of goal. It evades everybody and goes to the edge of the box for Sancho, who can carry it forwards. Watkins, first time into McGinn, he plays it down the line. Terrible ball across towards Morgan Rogers. What a great counter-attacking opportunity that was. I think the Aston Villa fans watching will be quite happy with the overall performance. They'll be super frustrated with how sloppy they've got in really key areas in their final third and how they haven't scored 2 or 3 in this one so far. Wan-Bissaka down the right-hand side for Jared Bowen, who looks to take on Ollie Watkins, gets the better of him. Jared Bowen's still going himself. Down that right-hand side, he looks to hang it into the penalty area, blocked away by Digne, and out for another West Ham corner.
Yeah, I mean, they've had chances to kill this game off, haven't they? Too many of them, really. You can imagine that the longer West Ham stay in this game, the more belief that they'll get that they can nick an equaliser, and the more sort of inevitability it might become about it for Villa from their part. But we've had news of another big goal in London.
Could be one of the biggest goals you see in the relegation battle for a long time as well. It's 2-0 to Nottingham Forest away at Tottenham. I mean, that is a massive goal in the relegation battle. It means Tottenham stay only the 1 point above West Ham as there's a ball whipped in the area from the corner, well headed away by Onana. But what a chance this could be for West Ham, even if there's still a point. I mean, Leeds will have been so frustrated last night to only draw against Brentford. They probably didn't deserve anything more. They'll be more frustrated seeing these results as well, because what a missed opportunity it was for Leeds, and what a missed opportunity it can be for West Ham, who can maybe catch themselves a bit lucky that they're still in this game, as we now see Traore step overs to try and get away from Matty Cash, but he is up against Cash still. The Spaniard comes onto his right foot, whips in a dangerous ball. There's just no one making that run. It's gone out for a goal kick. I don't think it's a bad cross. I really don't. I think the movement's poor.
Yeah, I can understand the movement though, because he is so inconsistent with his delivery. So you see him get the ball there. There's just no. If you're Jared Bowen on the far post there, you don't know when that cross is going in. You don't know when to time your run to get on the end of that cross, because he is so unpredictable. And I think sometimes the unpredictability of Adama Traore goes against his teammates, because they just don't know when to try and latch onto his final ball, and you just don't know whether that final ball's coming. Triple change for Villa here, so this is Unai Emery signaling he's not happy with something out there. I mean, obviously they've played a game in midweek as well, and maybe just he's got to the point where he feels like he needs fresh legs out there just to keep the intensity high. But it's a triple change, so he's gonna shake things up a bit.
Yeah, you now see the ball on the left-hand side for Traore. He plays it down the line for Juve. Now it's going to be with Fernandez, who finds Disasi. Mavropanos on this right-hand side, 65.5 minutes on the clock, still 1-0 to Aston Villa. Gibbs White with that second goal for Nottingham Forest. As we now see Traore in possession on the left-hand side up against Cash again. He's going to once again look for a ball into the area. Once again, it's a decent ball. And Pablo with a strike. He's lashed at it, and he shows no composure in front of goal. It just sits up nicely for him after a little ricochet. It's a great chance. It's probably the best chance they've had, West Ham, and he puts it so far over.
Yeah, very uncertain touch there by Pau Torres inside his own. He's on the penalty spot basically, and he doesn't know whether to volley it away or try and take a touch. And in the end, it's neither. It's gone straight to Pablo, who's lashed it over the bar, which is a huge disappointment to West Ham. But they're still in this game, and now John McGinn's going off. Well, that tired pass of his on the last counter attack maybe was part of the reason why Unai Emery's decided to try and freshen things up from the bench, and Tielemans will be his replacement. Douglas Luiz as well, another midfielder, is going to come on, and the final change is going to be Leon Bailey.
Yeah, Yuri Tielemans, what a miss he's missed a lot of this season. He got injured against Newcastle at the end of January, has missed so many games since then. So his last game was on the 25th of January. The inconsistent form, it really doesn't surprise me. You see the form that they had when he came back from injury earlier this season. They were completely unbeaten. He came back at the start of November, and they went about 12 games unbeaten. He got injured again. They've been losing every now and then. They've been drawing. They've been on a couple losing games as well. Now he's back. What a big plus for him. And, of course, the other changes as well. And Leon Bailey, he's got a lot to prove, as we now see Jared Bowen driving forwards. Of course, as we mentioned, it is the changes of McGinn, Barkley and Sancho who've made way. Here's Rodgers driving forwards there with a lot of pace to burn. He's got Watkins for company, doesn't use him. Hermansen spills, Watkins gets there and he taps it home. And Ollie Watkins finally gets his moment. It's a goalkeeping howler from Mads Hermansen, who spills the shot. Ollie Watkins is there and he fires it into the roof, and then it's 2-0 on the 68th minute.
Yeah, it is, unfortunately. It is a goalkeeping error, this. Watkins is in the right place to convert it. But I think also, you'd say Jared Bowen loses it too easily as well. I mean, it's 70 yards away, maybe 80 yards away from where the goal scored from, but still, it's loose from Jared Bowen. You'd expect him to do better here. In the end, he's going nowhere. He gets tackled by Onana, and basically 2 passes later, there's a shot on target which Hermansen has parried. In fact, it's 1 pass later, isn't it? Because Morgan Rodgers carries it a long way. He strikes that shot. Hermansen's got to deal with it better than that. He's got to push it out to a safer area or just keep hold of it, and he does neither. And there's Watkins. Instincts take over there. Sometimes with Wally Watkins, when he's got time to think about a chance, he'll miss it. Here, it's just reaction. It's just, can I be quick enough to get on the end of it? And then the instincts kick in, and he finishes it off.
That felt like the Ollie Watkins we're used to in the last 4 or 5 years. So in a sense of, he just naturally knew where to be. Whereas sometimes in this game, we've maybe berated his lack of movement into the clever areas when his teammates have had the ball. Just felt better from Ollie Watkins there. And Roger, I mean, of course, it's not the world-class goal, is it? It's a goalkeeping error. I always found it strange. It was brought back in maybe 3-4 games ago, Hermansen. I never really thought Areola did anything too wrong in between the sticks of West Ham. I always thought great shot stopper as well. I don't think he's really got those moments in him, but a big moment in the relegation battle as well. So far, this weekend, the side winning the relegation battle is absolutely Nottingham Forest.
That's right, yeah. I mean, Forest would have been so worried a few weeks ago. The spectre of Nuno Espirito Santo, who started the season as their manager. Could be another chance there, though, and it's West Ham on the attack, but good defending there from Douglas Luiz on the edge of his box, sorts it out. And now Bailey gets tackled, and the referee gives a throw-in to to Aston Villa. But to Villa. I think the spectre of Nuno Espirito Santo leading West Ham up on the rails past Nottingham Forest, the club he started the season at, would have been a real concern to everyone at the City Ground. But the way scores are going today, they're going to give themselves some breathing room.
Yeah, exactly that. As we now see the ball go forwards for Rodgers, and Aston Villa could definitely get more because West Ham have to open up. Leon Bailey on the right-hand side of the penalty area plays it down the line for Rodgers. He flashes it across the face of goal. Hermansen almost spills it towards Watkins again, but now Juve can clear his lines, and that comes off Rodgers and out for a goal kick. But with that, 70 minutes on the clock, we've reached the halfway stage of the second half. Aston Villa finally grab their second goal, and going into the second half of this second half, it'll be Simon to bring you through, and it is Aston Villa 2, West Ham 0.
Yeah, cheers, Kieran. Yeah, another spillage there from Hermansen. Difficult shot, near post. He's got it away to a better area there. He sort of pushed it away from his body, and there was West Ham defenders to sort of bail him out on that occasion. But I agree what he's saying about Areola. I really do. I've been impressed with Areola.
He was great the other week in the FA Cup as well when they brought him in. He was fantastic.
Somebody at West Ham spent a lot of money on Hermansen and wants him to play.
Yeah.
That's it, isn't it? Some decision maker up there has almost decided what Nuno Espirito Santo has kind of made that change, but it's probably with the blessing of somebody who wants Hermansen to play because they've shelled all that money. Maybe Areola's contract's coming up. I don't know what his situation is. Maybe he's only got a year left and they're trying to put pressure on him to sign again, or maybe they're looking to clear the books, So it's Hermansen who's getting the games, but he's not delivering, is he? They need a goalkeeper to deliver in these situations. Here come Aston Villa. They're delivering. They're 2-0 up, having won in midweek as well. And Dean has just switched it from foot to foot, knocked it back to Douglas Luiz. He's in his second spell at the club, really. He went out on loan. He wasn't really fancied by Unai Emery, but inability to bring in another midfielder in the summer, in January, wasn't it? Really, he's allowed him to come back, and he's getting his games now, isn't he? And he seems like an important squad player again for the club. We know he can score as well. He was a regular in the Villa side a couple of years ago, but fell out of favour. And he's patrolling the midfield area now with Anana. Gets the ball, comes short, receives it from Konsa, turns, tight area. Gets on it again. Plenty of touches from Douglas Luiz here. And now he tries to thread it through the lines. He does, accurately to Rodgers. And Rodgers now tries to play it into the channel for Bailey, but well intercepted by Juve, who kept his eye on the ball. And he now releases it out to Adama Traore. Now Fernandez rides the challenge of Tielemans, finds Souček. On it goes to Toure, through the midfield now. Cutting back onto his right foot. Sideways to Fernandez, and on to Souček. Out to the left. Diouf checks it back straight to Souček. They're going to try on the right now. Villa tightly packed in this out of possession formation with Watkins and Tielemans at the front of it. Go back to Disasi now. Disasi's looking left towards Diouf, but again doesn't really fancy that pass at the moment. Now he knocks it into the feet of Toure. A little half tackle comes in from Anana. It breaks the way of Diouf. Now Diouf gets past his man, approaching the edge of the box, slips in Toure. He's got the pace. Toure, can he get the ball back in? No, he's hit the side netting almost. It's stopped from hitting the side netting by Martinez, who gathers. And again, you look at Toure and say, where's the final ball?
Yeah, it's good, powerful running from Adama Traore. They're just going down the line. He's off balance, isn't he? On his weaker left boot. Well, Aston Villa have got really sloppy, haven't they, over these last few minutes? They've just given the ball away again. As Watkins tracking all the way back to win it back. Good work from the striker. Yeah, and
Villa on the attack now with Douglas Luiz, who runs into a bit of traffic and turns over possession again, but he's got help there from Dean. Now Torres across to Konsa. There's a bit of a four-man press here from West Ham, but Villa playing it tight, little short 5-10 yard passes, not panicking before Konsa goes long up towards Bailey. It's booted back into the area, but then Konsa's got hands on I think it might have been Traore, but the referee not interested in his claims for a spot kick. Play continues with West Ham back in their own half now as Mateus Fernandez moves it forward. Little darting run from Jared Bowen is ignored. He goes out wide to Wan-Bissaka, and he's got no chance of catching that. It's again a poor pass from Mateus Fernandez to go straight behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, poor ball in the end. Mateus Fernandez has probably had his poorest game in a long time for West Ham. We're just seeing that challenge back. There's never anything in it on Callum Wilson. Was really soft. It felt desperate from the former Newcastle man.
Yeah, it was Wilson, not Traore, but Either way, it was too soft, and no penalty awarded to West Ham. Just wondering why we haven't restarted with this goal kick yet, but now finally Villa take it back to Martinez, and the goalkeeper knocks it sideways to Konsa. Konsa plays out to the right, Cash down the line, looking for Bailey. Bailey lets it run through his legs. He's going to try and wriggle around the back of Diouf, who gives him a shove, but then Mavropanos is on the ball, covering from behind. Finds Mateus Fernandes. I think it surprises Disasi with his pass there, but now it's back to Wan-Bissaka. 15 minutes to go. It's 2-0 in both of the 2:15 kickoffs. West Ham trailing at Villa Park. Nottingham Forest leading at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Going to be a big shake-up at the bottom as a result of these scorelines. Tottenham, are they still going to be in the bottom three as things stand, or will West Ham?
Well, yeah, West Ham are in the bottom three at the moment. Tottenham
will
are just a point above.
Just a point above, yeah.
And with a very favourable goal difference. But Nottingham Forest, of course, go up onto 32 points. Leeds are on 33. Really, it's a shootout between those 4 teams. Burnley, as much as it's not mathematically done, they seem gone, don't they?
Any of the teams above Leeds still in it for you? Crystal Palace, maybe?
No, it's too much of a gap. Palace with the game in hand as well on those sides. Palace sat on 39 points, and they've got a little bit too
usually
much,
40 is what they say, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is enough, and they're only a point away from that with plenty of games to go. Another change here for Villa, and they're going to take off Morgan Rogers. This is good from Unai Emery. You know, there's no point hanging Morgan Rogers out there for an extra 15 minutes with the game won. And the international break coming up, he's going to play at least one game for England in that international break, isn't he? So just managing his minutes, just doing the shrewd thing here, and he's going to send on another player who has been good at times this season. It's sometimes been frustrating as well, Emiliano Buendia.
Yeah, he's had good moments this season, and we know he can be a special player, the Argentine, but they've got a lot of quality in this attack, don't they, Aston Villa? They have to rotate at times, and he's great to have within the squad. It's the type of players you want. Perfect. You can utilise in European games that little bit more. In your cup games, you can bring him off the bench in the Premier League, and you can start him when needed as well. You know what you're going to get from him, a lot of quality. So let's see what he can bring in these remaining minutes.
Yeah, that's given away though by Mavropanos, picked up by Tielemans. I think the fresh legs that Emery brought on with those 3 substitutions about 10 minutes ago have made a difference. One of them on the ball now. Douglas Luiz plays it to Anana. He goes back to Torres. Now Konsa knocks it further wide to Dean. Emery's pointing for Dean to play it back, but he's played a nice 1-2 there with Anana and released here the full back. He's moving forward into the edge of the penalty area. He knocks it wide to Leon Bailey. Bailey checks out onto his left foot, plays it back to Dean. Now back to Bailey again. Gets a ball into the 6-yard box, and it's knocked away by Mavropanos for a corner.
Yeah, it's a nice play. It's a great return pass as well on that far side from Matty Cash, and Leon Bailey. He just tries to hook it across the first goal for Ollie Watkins at the back post for a tap-in, but it's well cleared away and goes behind for a Villa corner.
Yeah, Luca Dean had a good game, hasn't he, both defensively and coming forward. As this throw-in, it's actually a throw-in, not a corner, I beg your pardon. It must have been close to the corner flag, and it's taken by Cash. And then somebody's fallen over there, trying to win a free kick by the corner flag in Villa colours. It's ignored by Paul Tierney. It was Leon Bailey who goes down, clutching his arm as he gets back up, but I don't think there was enough in that. It was right in front of the linesman who didn't flag as well, so no interest from the officials in his appeals for a free kick. Bailey, the Jamaican, he's again one player who's fallen out of favour, and he's just a squad man really now at Villa. Doniel Marlon, of course, who was getting games first half of the season, is now out on loan in Serie A with Roma. Here's Buendia, who gets past his man, Pablo, and puts a cross into the penalty area. Only one man in there, that was Bailey, peeling away to the back post, and it's cleared away by Mavropanos. Picked up by Douglas Luiz, who's jostling with Adama Traore. Adama Traore telling Douglas Luiz to get up there as he wins that duel, shoulder to shoulder. There's not many going to win a shoulder-to-shoulder battle with Adama Traore, to be honest. Now ball over the top, looking to release him with his pace. It's actually up towards Callum Wilson, who holds it up in the channel. Faced by Konsa, who's got hold of his shorts. He knocks it back to Pablo. Pablo just waiting for the support, knocks it back into the safety of midfield with Mateus Fernandes, and now across to the right for Wan-Bissaka. If they were to get a goal back now, West Ham, if they were to get a goal back, Villa might just not cave in, but they might just have a wobbly moment or two. Now a ball from Souček, it's a poor one, it's headed away by Cash. And now a foul on Buendia gives Villa a free kick in midfield. And all that last West Ham attack again, just looking a bit disjointed, not really any sort of end product again from that.
Yeah, exactly. Buendia helped back to his feet now. West Ham, they just seem like they've lost their ideas now, don't they? Really frustrated. They've got some massive games coming up. I mean, Wolves at home's such a big one next for them, and then of course Crystal Palace away, Everton at home, Brentford away. They're all winnable, and the final 3 games of the season are tricky, and if it comes down to the wire, their game at home to Leeds could be an absolute blockbuster on the final day. But of course next actually up for West Ham in all competitions, they've got that quarter-final game at home to Leeds in the FA Cup. That's next Sunday, which is such a big game, of course, maybe for the mental mindset of the Premier League as well. 2 relegation battling sides meeting in the Cup.
Yeah, as Villa on the attack again, left side. Little 1-2 between Douglas Luiz and Buendia. Buendia plays it across midfield now to Cash. Cash knocks it back to Konsa. Just passing the ball around here with West Ham looking a bit static, looking a little bit passive. Dean looking for a 1-2, and he gets flattened there by Wan-Bissaka, but the pass has been played up towards Watkins. He can't control it under pressure from Mavropanos, and it's passed back to Hermansen, who gets his big size 14s through it. That's a long ball up towards Callum Wilson, who holds it up well. Now finds Adama Traore, breaks past Pau Torres, and still goes here. Traore running down the left channel, feeds it out wide to Diouf, who looks for a cross. It's not a bad ball into the middle, and it's an attempted header from Pablo. Comes off his shoulder as he was being challenged in that penalty area. He wants a corner. It's come off Onana, and it will be a West Ham corner. Yeah, it did come off Onana's head. But that was better from Traore. He's probably been the one with the most, a little bit of intelligence going forward, hasn't he? He's added a little bit. Maybe you wonder how they could have done if he started this game. But yeah, decent ball in from Diouf. He's a good crosser of the ball. And Pablo, who did win the header, but he heads it right off the top of the head of Onana and goes behind for a corner. Mateus Fernandes to take it from over on the left-hand side, right-footed in-swinger. Lots of traffic near post in front of Martinez, and it's headed up in the air and away by Villa. Good delivery actually by Fernandes, but just couldn't get the right contact there. Cleared at the back post by Dean, and goes out for a throw. So throw in, presumably this will be to West Ham, although maybe it took a deflection. We're going to see a change first. It's 2 more subs on for the Hammers. I think Magassa is going to be one of them. So this will be a midfield change. I'm just waiting to see who is coming off here for West Ham. Nuno Espirito Santo. It's Souček, yeah, like for like then in the engine room. And the other one is Aaron Wan-Bissaka coming off. He's not had a good game, has he, really? No, he's been quite poor. Interesting what they're going to do with the shape, because Kante is going to be coming on. So it's going to be 2 French midfielders, holding midfielders, entering the field of play. Maybe that's just trying to shore things up, because they're not inspiring attacking changes to try and get back into this one, that's for sure. Yeah. Yeah, again, it's maybe just giving up on the game a little bit there and just trying some substitution to get some fresh legs on. But, yeah, they've got a cup game next week, as you mentioned. Maybe thoughts turning to that a little bit. Ball in from Wilson, a little back heel to Bowen. He's obviously stayed on. Knocks it back into midfield. Disasi pushed up there with Kante and Magassa. And now on the left it's with Adama Traore. Adama Traore in a physical duel there with Cash. It's Cash actually winning that one before help arrives from Kante. He can't keep it in there. It's going to be a throw-in to Aston Villa. A low 5 there from Leon Bailey with Matty Cash for the defensive doubling up there to stop West Ham progressing down that side. So 2-0 to Villa. They're just winding the clock down now, playing that game management role. Obviously, first goal came first half from John McGinn. Lovely left foot finish after a well-worked set piece on the edge of the box. And the killer goal, really, Ollie Watkins finishing off from close range after a shot from Rodgers was parried by Hermansen into a dangerous area, really, and Watkins, his instincts took over and he made it 2-0. He's on the ball now, Ollie Watkins, and he's driving forward. He's got support from Buendia. Will he pass it? No, he tries to go himself, and in the end, a good tackle comes in, but then Buendia makes something of it with the back heel out wide to Bailey. Inside the penalty area, crosses to the edge of the box. Douglas Luiz on his chest. Can he get something acrobatic away? No, he shifts it on out to the left-hand side for Digne. Digne up against Mavropanos, has to come back to the touchline here, to the sideline, if you like, and just walking with the ball now, baiting the West Ham players to make a tackle on him. He knocks it back to Douglas Luiz, and now Tielemans Plays it back to the halfway line for Conser. Loads of space here. And it's Watkins coming short now. Looking to link up with Bailey. Bailey trying to roll Conte. Who gets the challenge in, or is that... that's Diouf, isn't it, who makes the tackle. Yeah. Now the referee's coming over to have a word with the Senegalese player. And is he going to get a yellow card out?
Yeah, he's probably going to get away with it. He's been quite lenient. I believe there's only been the one card, hasn't they? And it was for Wan-Bissaka for the most blatant yellow card you can ever see. I think he's going to let him off in this sense. 85 minutes on the clock in this one. Bailey's caused a little bit of havoc, hasn't he, since coming on? Hasn't shown an incredible amount of quality in the final ball, but he's just been busy. He's been a live wire.
Yep. Yeah, I think, like I say, that triple change that Emery made midway through the half, it's probably got them over the line. The extra impetus, the fact that West Ham had emptied the midfield really, and fresh legs coming into that area have just driven them onto the second goal through Rodgers. Through Rodgers' shot that was saved by Hermansen and then finished off by Watkins. So another set-piece opportunity for Villa. Going to be taken by Luca Digne. He's got lots in the box to aim for. Goes towards the far post, and it's just a bit beyond the last man, Onana, and behind for a goal kick.
Terrible delivery. Poor one in the end. It's just a real waste. Aston Villa, they've had a lot of potential from the set pieces, haven't they? Because West Ham haven't looked convincing dealing with them at all. For West Ham, it's all eyes on the quarter-final now against Leeds. A massive opportunity, a great chance for both sides to get to Wembley. Of course, for the semi-finals, whether people agree that the semi-final should be at Wembley or not. But change coming up for Aston Villa, and that's going to be the end for Ollie Watkins. He'll be delighted to finally have that goal. Only had one goal in his last 9 Premier League appearances. He's going to make way for Tammy Abraham.
Yeah, he gets good response from the Villa fans. They've always stuck with him, haven't they, through these lean times. With 1 goal in 9 Premier League appearances before today. So he's ended that little mini drought with this. We're just seeing a replay of it now. Well taken finish, sliding down, ball away from him, just getting his boot underneath and lifting it over the attempted save from Hermansen, who'd fumbled the first attempt from Rodgers. Now Abraham's on, and he's on the run here, trying to hustle Disasi. Ball's passed back to Hermansen, who gets his boot through it again, up towards halfway, then headed back by Digne. Nodded clear by Magassa. And then flicked on by Tielemans. The Magassa hooks it away to the halfway, brought on down on the chest by Mateus Fernandes, and he runs towards goal. This is when he's at his best, but it's a poor pass towards he's actually got hold of it here as Wilson. He's running away from goal though. I thought he could have perhaps slipped him in, but he's pushed him away from goal. But West Ham still have it now with a cross in from Magassa, headed clear by Douglas Luiz, and he gets good distance on his header as well, back to almost the halfway line. Now Diouf, we got an tangle there. He's managed to extricate himself and find a pass out to Conte. Down the left he comes. He's then tackled back by Tielemans, who plays it simply down the line. It was a tough one though for Bailey to take, and in the end the ball's inadvertently diverted towards Adama Traore, and he's bustled past his fullback, gone past Matty Cash. He's still going here to the byline. Oh, what is that from Adama Traore? Was it a shot? Was it a cross? In the end he falls in a heap and the ball's in the stands.
Yeah, maybe sums him up as a player, Traore, because he did everything so well. The one thing that's always let him down as a forward is unfortunately what you need to be quite good at as a forward at the top level. His deliveries, some of the crosses since coming on have actually been pretty good from Traore. That one isn't one of them.
Yeah, I imagine the Villa fans will be thinking, we've seen that somewhere before, haven't we? He was, like I say, he was a very young player when he was at Villa, just signed from Barcelona, I think it was, and he never really hit it off with the Villa fans. He was never one to produce on a regular basis, and got shifted on, didn't he? But here he is coming on for West Ham, and it's the same old story. Ollie Watkins has got player of the match. Would you agree with that?
Tricky.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one because you can tell he was desperate today. He needed a goal. Of course, with him not being picked in the England squad, I don't know. Was Ollie Watkins the man of the match? No one really stands out for Aston Villa as an individual. I thought McGinn was really good before he went off. It could have definitely been him. Well, it's going from bad to worse for Tottenham. They've just conceded a 3rd goal. You can only imagine the noise in that stadium as that 3rd goal.
I'll be empty though, won't it, by now?
It'll be empty. I'd be shocked if he's not sacked. I really would be. Taiwo won you with that one.
Yeah. Well, he bought himself some time with that draw at Anfield, and then of course they won in midweek, didn't they? So they had some momentum to take into this game after beating Atletico Madrid, albeit going out on aggregate in the Champions League. But this really is, of all 3 games to lose, this is the worst one to lose because it puts them right in the mire. The only thing going from today is that West Ham have also lost, as surely they have now. We're in the 90th minute. They're playing the ball around the back here, the Hammers, knocking it out towards Mavropanos.
Yeah, it's become simple now for Aston Villa. It was game over a while back. And as soon as that second goal went in, Mavropanos slips as he clears his lines. But yeah, 2-0 as we approach the 90th minute.
Goes inside from Conte to Magassa. Magassa carries it forward up to the halfway line. Laid off by Pablo. It was a blind layoff straight to Leon Bailey, who comes forward for Villa. Pablo sort of reapplies himself by making a tackle and now moves forward with the ball. A bit of a short layoff there from Mateus Fernandes again, but Magassa makes something of it. Finds a route to Diouf. Diouf slips it through now to the run of Conte. He stretches out his long legs and he approaches the edge of the penalty. Has he got a finish here? Conte with a left foot drills it into the crowd.
Yeah, it's not a great strike from Conte in the end. He was driving forwards, 4 minutes of added time. 30 seconds into that, but the midfielder got into a decent bit of space. It was well worth the effort. It was just a bit of a tight angle, but 2-0 down. They had scored then. It was now or never in that sense. And the West Ham fans, they've seen enough. They're done for the day.
Yeah.
As we see them heading for the tunnel.
Yeah, they're going to the coaches or the public transport. I mean, hopefully they can get some way back to London on this Sunday. But yeah, it's not been a good end to the week for them. Still seeing lots of shots of West Ham fans. No action on the pitch because I don't think play has restarted with the goal kick. Heading cleared by Mavropanos. Picked up in midfield by Villa. It's fizzed into the feet of Buendia, who's challenged by Mavropanos. He goes into a next tackle as well and half wins that one. But Digne recovers the ball, knocks it back to Pau Torres. Clean sheet for Villa as well. That'll help build some confidence as Martinez kicks long. And it goes straight out of play for a throw-in to West Ham. As well, you mentioned earlier, they're still in fourth place, West Ham. Aston Villa. West Ham would love to be in fourth place. Still in fourth place, Aston Villa, but a point behind Manchester United in third. They've gained 2 points on Manchester United over the course of the weekend, but they've also gained 3 points on the teams chasing them, Liverpool and Chelsea, who lost.
Yeah, massive victory for Aston Villa. It looked on paper like it would have been one of those games that return to winning ways. But like we said, the form of West Ham recently, especially away from home, this wasn't an easy game for them coming into it. It's a big game and a big result for Unai Emery. So like we said, that gap from Liverpool, 5 points from 5th place, so important. So, well, Liverpool, of course, losing to Brighton maybe just gave them that bit of an edge coming into this as well, knowing how big of a game this would be, and it applies the pressure on Man United too.
Yeah, so many positives for Villa from this game. Obviously, Watkins ending his mini drought. McGinn back with a goal. Tielemans back in midfield. Clean sheet. Convincing performance. No injuries. Morgan Rogers didn't get the assist, did he? But he certainly influenced the game with his shot for the second goal. So many positives for Villa to take from this, and they're still fighting on two fronts to get in the Champions League. And if they don't make it through the league, and they're looking all right in that situation anyway. But they got the Europa League, they win that. As the ball's flicked on here by Douglas Luiz, and it's Tammy Abraham trying to fasten onto the end of it, but Diouf heads it back to Hermansen, and we're into the final minute of stoppage time.
Yeah, it was a lovely little flick in behind towards Tammy Abraham there, but the bounce just allowed Diouf to really recover with the pace as much as he's been playing for a lot longer than Abraham. Diouf's absolutely rapid at the back, and he made sure to meet that first.
I don't know how the Europa League draw works out, but could Villa face Nottingham Forest before the final? Or I think Forest have got Porto, I think, haven't they, in that quarter-final. Here's Conte, edge of the penalty area, finding Wilson, who lays it off to Bowen. Bowen's got two Villa defenders in front of him, and he's taking it towards the corner. Now he flicks it inside, but not a well-timed pass. Torres should clear. Digne will clear now. Yeah,
so Villa and Forest, if they were to win their next games, would meet each other in the semi-finals.
Semi-final, okay.
That would be tasty.
A shot from the halfway line from Tammy Abraham. That caught me by surprise, but it didn't catch Hermansen by surprise, and it was way off target anyway. But that's probably going to be the last action of the game as Hermansen takes the goal kick, and the referee puts his whistle to his lips. It's all over Villa Park. There's a shake of hands from Nuno Espirito Santo and Unai Emery, the two ex-Valencia bosses. But it's the Spaniard whose side have won this one. Finished Aston Villa 2, West Ham 0.
Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck. Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck. Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck. Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the first player to score, the last scorer, correct score, double result, total goals market, handicap betting, or any other of our exciting market, it's fun to be involved. Don't forget, when the match kicks off, you can sit back and enjoy superb independent studio commentary while also enjoying our in-play betting opportunities. Good luck. Our next football commentary match is getting ever nearer, so why not take the opportunity of having a bet on the match? Whether you're interested in betting on the match result, the